Okay. Hey, party people. Welcome. This is going to be the session 4B part 2 because we're splitting 4B into part 1 and part 2 so that we can catch up the B side without throwing off our whole naming scheme. So, like always, we're going to get into the recap, and then we're going to get into like a brief tidbit on where we left off for our players' sake, because sometimes that's not obvious in the recap. And then we're just going to get right into it. However, we do now have, get this, not only our Spotify and iTunes uploads, but we do now upload to YouTube. And we also have a Twitter and an Instagram. So go give us a follow, join the Discord, come be part of the community, hang out with us. That being said, Frixur, 25th of Stivos, 301st year of dark reign, just past noon. The sun was high, glittering the waves in silvery specks across their rich blue. The last 3 days were busy. They never did find that man that went missing. He drowned in a barrel, pulled in by a creature of sorts, and lost to the waves as he toppled overboard. The storm masked his murder. Now, they began to understand the horrors of the sea. Atheros was not only dangerous on land. Serpents swam beneath the surface, and creatures born of water followed along their prey. The Aether was cruel to have made such cunning creatures. It was all Gabriel could do. He at least saved one of the men who would have gone overboard. And that man would remember. And the slaves would remember the food they were being given each day. And the enemies the party made along the way would remember too. But good news came along the last 3 days as well. Tamacti had been able to learn the new Identify spell. It would serve them well in their future probably. Gabriel had been learning how to help along the surface of the ship, following along the deckhands. Rubin, well, who knew what he was doing, and Corin, well, like father, like son. So at present, things had been going well, all said and done. But something still didn't sit right with Tamacti. He tasked himself with studying the Wacial kind to see if it was more than the ship had believed, and he was right. And just as he had caught the little thing red-handed, and the mages were finally crossing over from the Wave Watcher to their ship, a sea serpent twice the length of a ship came bursting forth from the water with a druidic sea serpent clutched tightly in its maw. A crash followed, signaling to anyone that the now damaged ship would begin to sink, starting with the bottom deck. And for the first time in a long time, I don't need to redo the intro in post. That's great.
Right? Bravo!
But we left off. It was just after the 3-day time skip. We talked briefly about like what you guys would have done during that time, and you guys did make that trade for the teleport gem. You traded, on my record, 3, but as I recall, I thought it was just 2 of them that you traded. Did you trade 3?
No, it was 3.
Okay, yeah.
We kept Smite, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
It was 3 in the Sapphire section, and we kept Supernal Smite, and now we have 4 who's also a Sapphire, but 3 of them were traded.
Okay. And so it's like midday, sunny, sun is shining down, and you guys are all kind of doing your things. And Gabriel was up on top deck, as was Tamacti. Do you remember where Rubin was, Waffle?
I'm going to assume he was up on top deck with the rest.
Okay. We'll go.
Yeah, we were all welcoming or being ready to welcome.
Yeah, we were waiting for the mages.
Yeah, and so the mages are crossing that like shaky bridge that is now formed from the Wave Watcher on the left of your ship over towards the Sea Serpent, and on the right side of your ship is the Winter Maw. But like paralleling your ship on both sides were these 2 sea serpents that were wild shaped from the druids that were aboard the one of the other ships, and as the mages were crossing, a massive serpent came smashing out of the water, holding like one of these druidic serpents by like the midsection, smashing it into your ship, and then like streaking up into the air and getting ready to come back down, where it'll inevitably splash and sink right back into the water, probably carrying with it this druid. Blood is already like streaking across the air, probably like pitter-pattering in like a gentle rain down on the ship that you guys are on. In like a really cool cinematic sort of scene. A forewarning going into this whole encounter. There's going to be a lot for you guys and myself to keep track of. And we're not going to be doing it like a traditional encounter because you're not always going to be seeing this sea serpent. So it's going to be one of those fluid encounters that we had before. where I'm going to be kind of going along my thing, but you guys feel free to interject at any moment and tell me like, hey, I would like to do this, or hey, could I do this, blah, blah, blah. And we'll get that sorted because, like I said, a lot to keep track of.
Good.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So first, in this happening, I would like you guys to declare like kind of what is the first thing that comes to your mind? What's the first thing that you're doing? You notice that as these two ships, your ship rocks to the left, like as it's barreled into, and the kind of plank that's between the two ships snaps in half in the middle. The mages start to hold onto the ropes. They're now like bobbing above the water, and one of them looks like he's already in the process of casting a spell, but you're not sure exactly what it is in this split moment. So what are you doing?
Sorry, just to clarify, our ship is the one that took
That
the
just
hit?
got hit, yeah.
Okay.
Ironic that the sea serpent would be the one hit by the sea serpent.
Yeah, fucking great. Tamacti is going to, I guess it's going to take him a few seconds to sort of take in what happened. He's then going to look down at Sergey, right? Was that the Wishel Kinds of name?
No, Vasily.
Vasily, yeah.
Okay, sure. Russian names. And he's actually going to set him down on the ground and say, there will be time for games later. And then he's going to turn around and run below deck. And as he does, he's going to cast a message to Rubin and say, Rubin, meet me below decks now.
And without hesitation, at first Rubin, his initial reaction while I think Tamacti was doing this was to hold on to that rope. At least one of them that's going between the bridges. But as soon as he hears this message, he leaves anything topside up to Gabriel at that point. Darts off.
I'll handle it upstairs.
Yeah, knowing that he is definitely the strongest by far.
I just imagine this sick scene where the camera is on the right-hand side of the ship at the railing, looking towards the left-hand side of the ship, and you see Gabriel there in like his gunmetal sort of plate with the gold trim and like this huge claymore on his back, and like as the serpent like just bounds into the ship and screeches into the air, and all this like blood is kind of like pouring down in a rain. He's just like looking over his shoulder at it. That's just my like. That's just how I'm looking at it. It's so sick.
Tail spire.
Huh?
If we don't have the tail spire, a sea serpent.
Sadly, Tailspire doesn't have like a sea serpent, and since this isn't like a normal encounter, we're not going to be using Tailspire for it. But
I'm going to be focusing while you do that on saving the two wizards, because gods be damned, I will not let them die when we're finally getting them.
And how are you going to try and save them then?
Well, I'm going to shoot my echo up ahead towards the two and just kind of grab both of them and try whatever ship is the closest one to where they are on the bridge, run them that way.
It's like midway, so the choice is either one.
Well, our ship is sinking, so I guess I'll get them on the other ship. Because we're probably going to abandon this one anyway.
So like I said, the board like snapped in the middle, and so it's really just the ropes there. So how are you going to be grabbing both of them without anything to like stand on?
Well, we will try one for now. And I hope to God actually, I'll do the other myself.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna just up across. Because what you said, the rope bridge, whatever, it was like 15 feet long, right?
It's like 20 or 25 feet.
Okay, well, if it is 20, I do have that jump distance. I can literally make it across in like a leap.
That's sick. Okay.
So I'm gonna just have the echo grab, we'll say the left one, because whatever, and then I will go for the right one and try to hoist both of them up and just kind of throw them on their ship. And then whatever happens to me after that doesn't matter. We'll deal with it after.
Okay, so I'm gonna come back to this part. Then I wanna come back to now Rubin and Tamacti.
Mm-hmm.
Walk me through what you're doing.
Tamacti's bolting down to the lower deck, As he does, though, he's actually going to stop in the kitchen to try and find the old woman who, because as we've discussed previously, Tamacti's brain is riddled with age and dementia. He's actually forgotten her name.
Mother Ishka?
Yeah,
Mother
I wanted to say Mother Marissa, but I knew that wasn't right. He's gonna look for Mother Ishka. She's in there.
She probably is, but like the ship rocking to the side, like when you find her, and you know the quarters where she would be for cooking is like right below the stairs from the top floor down to the second floor. So you'd find her in passing to the bottom floor anyways. But she's there and she's like holding on to like one of the counters and like a panic look on her face, and she can hear and you can hear the water rushing into the bottom deck.
Jesus. Tamacti's gonna grab her by the shoulder to sort of steady her, and then kind of turn her to look at him and say, "The keys for the slaves' chains, where are they?"
She like reaches down into her apron and fumbles out like a chain of keys. There's like probably only like 10 of them, but 10 is a lot more than one, so she's got to kind of like fumble through them, and she's nervous, her hands are shaking, and she's going through all of them, and finally pulls out one of them, and she hands it to you. I believe it's this one.
Tamacti would nod to her. "Everything is going to be okay. Now, quickly, get upstairs, grab anyone you can find here." And then Tamacti's going to turn on his heels and bolt down below decks and hope, beyond hopes, that Gabriel is there to help him.
You mean
Rubin?
Rubin?
Sorry, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, Rubin's already down probably by that point in the bottom deck.
Okay. And Rubin, when you get down there, you see that there's a hole half the size of a man and about the width of a man, like wide, so like 6 feet by like 3 feet, just in the side of the ship. It's taking on that's a little bit big actually, like 4 feet wide by like 3 feet tall, taking on water rapidly, already up to like your knees. And the first thing that you catch is like the thrashing around of somebody in water chained to the floor.
Yeah, the wizard.
Yeah. And all the other slaves are like trying to pull themselves free, like break the bindings that are anchored into the floor of the ship. Whatever you guys do, up to you, but Rubin, I want to hear it.
So because I secured it with my own manacles, I assume I have a key to those.
Yeah, you probably do.
Mage that's on the floor. I would like to approach and start unbinding him from those chains. Obviously, I think his hands are still tied together due to Gabriel's handiwork, but he will no longer be shackled to the floor after I get that done.
Okay. And so a lot is happening right now. About the time that you get done unshackling his hands. You said hands, right?
Probably, yeah. His wrists.
Just making sure I'm not tripping out. Yeah, after you get done unshackling his hands, it's probably about the time that Tamacti makes his way down to the bottom deck. And Tamacti, now you're seeing this like 4 foot wide by 3 foot tall hole in the side of the ship, and it is taking on water rapidly, like I previously described. The water's up to your knees already.
Tamacti would gaze at the hole, sort of stricken in despair, and would mutter under his breath a small prayer of protection and guidance to the Archseraph Moriel.
Moriel, okay.
And then he will press on through the sort of fear of being in the belly of a sinking ship, and will go to the first row of slaves and try the key that Mother Ishka handed him.
As you put the key into the lock and you twist it, you find that it's the wrong key.
Brother!
And we pull away from you back to Gabriel.
Mother Ishka.
Where Gabriel is diving through the air towards this rope, and I imagine he like grabs onto the rope and catches one of the mages by the hand, and like in the momentum of it, in the swing, like launches.
Transfer, switch momentum. I'm trading me for him pretty much.
Yeah, and like launches him up onto the other ship, right? And it's so sick, and your Echo is like holding on to the other one. But the mage releases the hand of the echo, and is the one that was already casting a spell, and suddenly the wave beneath him shifts into ice, and so it's like this frozen still image of this wave, and like kind of comes down in a slide that then starts to ramp back up into the next wave, and it's like probably like a 40-foot distance that is now just solid ice. What do you do?
How far is the sea serpent?
The sea serpent is just now like head
Like
reaching
30
back into the water. Like massive splash comes up on the opposite side of the ship from you.
Got it. So it's diving again.
Yeah, it's diving back down with the like the serpent druid-shaped druid just clutched deep in its maw.
Got it. I'm gonna climb the rope, go topside.
Okay.
And once I am there, I'm going to use my Echo Avatar feature. So I'm going to be blind and deaf now on the top deck. I'm literally just going to lay down. And
Okay.
Now I can like essentially see, I can be my Echo pretty much. And I can go like 1,000 feet away without it being destroyed.
Yeah.
So then I take the Echo and I just dive in the fucking water. And I'm going to just go try to ride the serpent, see where it goes.
That's sick. So
And
you can...
My plan is to go in its mouth and kill it, okay?
Okay. Yeah, while your echo like kind of like lets go of the rope and comes down onto this ice, and with the momentum of the ice, like in the slide sort of form that it was, just like launches like down the ramp up and back into the water onto the opposite side of the ship, or like not to the opposite side of the ship. Sorry, like enough momentum to get you going towards the opposite side of the ship, but you're now diving under it. And you can see the serpent, like just the edge of its tail, diving down deeper and deeper into the darkness.
I just want to grab onto whatever part will do if I can. Not I
Okay.
just make my way there until I
Make
can. And if it gets away, it gets away.
Make for me an athletics. This is swimming.
Sounds good. 13. Eesh.
A
Not
13. I'd say that there's not enough time for you to swim all the way across and reach it, and so like now you're kind of there where it was, and you said you kind of just keep chasing it anyways.
Well, if I can't catch it, I mean, it's obviously much faster than I am, you know, because it's made for water, as I am not. So there's no point chasing it. I'm gonna go back now. Like I'm gonna transfer myself back to myself, so the echo will just shatter and disappear.
Okay.
And I'll try to help the wizard that's on the rope because he casted this, but now he's done. I assume he wants help.
No, he let go of your.
Oh, so
he's down there on the ice.
He's on the ice?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go join him then.
Okay. Well, the ships are moving, so you know they're still moving. So it's up to you. The ice isn't moving along with the ships. He's like just gonna be there on that little peninsula. It'd be fair to assume that he probably has a plan of his own.
I assume he has a way of getting back. Like, I'll ask him. I'll look down towards him from the ship. How are you going to get back?
He looks up at you and just gives you a thumbs up. He's got like this long sort of dark gray beard and like short sort of back gray hair and just kind of like a lengthy dark brown robe. And but yeah, he probably doesn't understand you. He just reaches up and gives you a thumbs up.
I assume he knows what he's doing. I'll stay on the ship, I suppose. I'll go back on the other ship. Ours, the one.
Okay,
that's
well,
floating.
the distance is like 25 feet. So how are you getting across there?
Echo on the other side, and then I switch places.
Okay, and we'll come back to you then. So that's a lot happening just then.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to you. Coming back down below deck to Rubin and Tamacti. What's up?
Yeah, so Rubin had just undone this man's hand manacles and pulls him up, you know, to where he's like now sitting upright, hopefully above the water level.
Yeah, he's like heaving for air, spitting out some water that he probably like inhaled a little bit of.
Tamacti would turn sort of frantically to Rubin. Rubin, you have to hold the water back for now. I have to find the right key.
If you want to help Now's your chance, Rubin says to the man, as he's holding them there in front of him. And then moves to plunge his hands under the water to undo those leg restraints now.
Okay. Are his fingers still like tied together?
I assume so. I don't know what Gabriel's setup was.
Gabriel, can you remind us what the setup was like?
Set up for what?
For his hands, like his hands were bound.
Okay, so essentially his four fingers, right? They're tied together. So like there's a rope, like just keeping his four fingers clutched together, so he can't like move them or make hand signs. His thumb is free on both hands.
Okay.
It's just the index from the pinky. Those are like roped together, so you could easily cut the rope. Like it's just you can't do it with your own hands, but with a knife or something, easy enough.
Okay.
Okay, so then in that case, rather than go straight for the leg manacles, I'm gonna cut that rope.
Okay. That's sick. Okay. Yeah. What do you use to cut that rope?
My dagger.
Okay.
Rubin reaches back and pulls out, his kind of twisted dagger, and
Yeah, like slithering sort of blade.
yeah, and it's sharp.
Mhm. Bet. And so you cut that, and he looks you still like heaving, choking back water, and his feet are still bound to the floor, and you see kind of cogs turning in his head, like behind his eyes, like what he's thinking. You don't know exactly what he's thinking, but he's clearly thinking. That being said, Tamacti, if you're going to search for the other keys, can you please roll for me a 1d10?
Well, technically it'd be a 1d9 since it was
Yeah,
a ring.
yeah. Roll a custom 1d9 for me really quick.
That's a 7.
A 7. You go to twist that key in the lock, and nothing. It's not it.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, real sick.
Is that my entire action?
No, because it's such a quick thing to do. I'm probably in this scene. You can try like 2 more, I'd say.
Alright, I'll roll a 1d8 now.
Yeah,
That's also a 7.
not it.
That's a 1.
So you twist the first time, and it's like it just wouldn't budge. The second time, it just won't budge. Third time, it still just won't budge. And the fourth time, you put this key in, and you kind of like close your eyes, and you whisper that prayer to Moriel again, and you go to turn it, and it clicks. And you see the manacles around this slave's feet just like open up.
I grab it's. I'm gonna say because they were. I like went to the first one closest to me. It's that little boy that I was the first to feed.
Yeah,
way back.
the one
when.
that took like a couple more sips than should have been.
So I'm gonna help him to his feet. Don't worry, little one. I'm going to get you out of here. Now go, hurry to the top deck.
And he turns and looks at the other slaves, and there's a moment of like, I need to stay and help them, but he's just a kid. And he runs up the stairs, not looking back, and like splashing all the way, slips on one of the stairs, and is like barrels around the corner and is trying to get up the stairs. All
Cracks
the way
his head open.
No.
Falls
no,
unconscious. Drowns.
No. If this was Morgborg, yeah.
Morgborg?
But yeah, so that just happened, and all that kind of underway. I want to come back to Gabriel now. Gabriel, you just all this happened, and you brought your Echo back onto the Sea Serpent ship, and then switched with it, and like it was this weird moment where you're looking at your Echo on the other ship, and all of a sudden you're looking through the Echo's eyes, and you're looking back at your Echo on the ship that you were just on, like same position, same form as you were just making, and then you glance down at the ice there, and you see that the mage is not there.
Sounds good. He had a plan. Or he fell over and drowned, but who knows, man.
We'll see.
At least one of them survived. So, I guess it's time to head downstairs and help the others, because the serpent... Actually, I'll stay upstairs and just keep a vigilant eye for if the serpent returns, because if it returns, I'm jumping into its mouth.
That's sick. In staying up top and looking around, you do see that one of the smaller druidic serpents like dives out of the water 2 or 3 ships down, and midair turns back into a man, like flailing as he's like falling back towards the ground, and like smashes into the surface of the ship. He's probably still alive. He's probably fine, but he's just getting the hell out of the water.
Gotcha. So the sea serpent is bad news.
Yeah.
One that is.
Imagine that.
And so you're just staying up on top?
Yeah, I will stay up on top and kind of help people up on the top deck if they're climbing up the stairs. Just fall down or whatever. Because I assume if Covert and them are going to be freeing people, then we're about to get a whole lot of folks up here.
Probably. And you guys have just, you, during the last 3 days, mentioned that you wanted to kind of learn the intricacies of the ship up top. And you see guys are like going about quickly, just doing things. Just you know, raising sails to try and like make the boat stationary while they get all this sorted out and have all the manpower that they can like up on not on the point of sailing. And would it be fair to assume that you probably try and help them?
Of course I would.
Okay.
That's what I learned to do for a couple days.
No rule for that, but that's definitely like brownie points, I think.
Sounds good.
It's putting in effort towards the crew and the ship and really kind of becoming part of it.
That's all I aim for. I just want to be accepted, man. It's tough out here.
It is. It really is. Then I'm gonna say there's an odd irony with how nice of a day it is and how chaotic this moment in time is. And you see, looking over the edge as you're like fastening down a rope to an anchor on one of the railings, you see just the water's just filled with blood. And so coming back down below deck, this water that's rushing in, it's like a really watered down sort of bloody color from the druidic sea serpent that just got towed down underwater. Just towed right down underwater.
Jeez.
And people are up in an uproar down there. They're freaking out. They're like, me next, please, me next. No, me.
Tamacti's just gonna go to work.
Okay.
Unlocking as many as possible. And he's gonna sort of turn to Rubin and a gesture for him to try and work on the other side if he can.
Yeah, it looked like for a moment Rubin was watching this mage to see what his decision would be. But you know, if he doesn't come to one quick enough.
As soon as you turn your back, he's gonna blink out for sure.
See, I'm thinking about, never mind.
Would you like to take a moment to see what he does before you decide what to do?
Yeah, just like a really quick one. I mean,
okay. You see him kind of look towards the stairs and look back at you two, and for some reason, he really holds his eyes on you. For like, this is all happening like really quick, like in the snap of a finger. But it's like for that split moment that he is looking at you, it's a lot more intense than looking at the stairs or looking at Tamacti or anything like that. And you see all of a sudden, he brings his hands down to his sides and flips them palm facing up, and his robe, like sort of like wind, kind of comes in and just ruffles his robe in an upward direction, and his hair kind of like flits up a little bit, and then he like pushes both of his arms out forward, his hands forward, and an invisible sort of wall of shimmering force forms in front of the hole in the ship, and the water that's getting through is drastically lessened, but it's still coming in.
And there's a nod of Rubin. I mean, obviously his face is obscured by a helmet, and he moves to quickly start helping free the other side of slaves. So I know I didn't even think about this last time. You know, usually on the back of daggers you got like that kind of pommel, like skull cracker thing. I think that could be used to break. You know,
it's I think possibly not, because you got to see
it is under a foot of water.
It is under a foot of water.
Yeah. So that is.
And if you want to gauge for like how tall this deck is, it's if you're standing up, you can't even reach your arms up all the way. You can reach them like halfway up before you touch the ceiling of this floor. And so with it already being up to your knees, it's already like a third of the way up.
Again, I might be reaching here,
or maybe a fourth.
And maybe this is non-fictional, but you know, I seem to recall there being like wood around in ships for this purpose. Like if
Yeah,
there's a whole breach.
wood and crude nails and stuff like that.
Yeah, wood,
for this
nails, and
purpose.
hammers. Is there some down here? I mean, obviously, again, this is the slave deck.
You
But-
also, however, have all these benches on this floor, just in case you wanted that sort of idea. But looking around, you probably see some boards. They're pretty lengthy boards, like way larger than need be for a hole this size, like 6 or 7 feet wide, or 6 or 7 feet long, and like a foot wide, or something along those lines, and just like probably a half dozen of them stocked up against the side between one of the benches and the wall. Not the wall that has this hole in it, the opposite wall.
Gotcha. And how big is the remaining hole? Like that's not being held back by this wave of force.
Well, the wave of force is covering the whole thing. It's just that it's not preventing all
okay.
the water from getting through. There's a lot of water in the sea and a lot of water pressure. So
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Rubin's gonna start moving one of these boards towards the hole that's in the base of the ship here.
okay, and you kind of have to like reach over some of the slaves to get to it, and one of the slaves grabs you by the the front of your half plate, like right where kind of like your armpits are. Grabs one of your armpits, and it's just like, please don't leave me down here. I don't want to die like this.
You will leave before I do, Rubin declares.
He's like actively, practically in your way as you're trying to grab this board.
If you want to live, let go. We need to patch this hole. Obviously, tries to reason with the man, but the whole idea of panic is just not registering in him.
Okay. Then coming away from this, I want to come back up to. Let's see. Tamacti is just like going about freeing as many as he can, right?
That's correct.
And he's just sending them all to the top deck, or is there anything else that he's saying?
No, I mean, there's only one key, so not like anybody could really be helped. You know what? Actually, Tamacti will sort of turn and look and see Rubin with these boards. And the next time Tamacti unlocks someone that looks like more able-bodied, he'll try and console them and be like, I need you to help us patch the hole, otherwise none of us will make it out alive. And then he's going to sort of gently push him over in the direction of Rubin. And then
Okay.
I'd like to, if you want me to roll a persuasion check to see if I can.
Yeah, I would say roll a persuasion. You guys have fed them twice now, and probably a couple times over the 3-day period. So I'm gonna give you advantage on this persuasion. 15. Okay, so of these like 40 slaves, you see that probably like 7 or 8 of them are really able-bodied. Like they probably became slaves when they were too young to fight, but have been slaves long enough to be the age of like they're young adult men in fairly good shape. And so this one turns to you and nods rapidly like 2, 3, 4 times, and then sloshing through the water that is now up above his knee, like halfway up his thighs, towards this board there. And you catch next to you, floating in the water, a bucket, just out of curiosity. And we're gonna come away from this scene and back up top to Gabriel. And so Gabriel's going about helping everyone out, and you're staying vigilant for the sea serpent, right?
It comes back to try and sink this, the rest of us. Someone's gonna have to keep it busy so we don't sink.
Okay, you where on the ship are you? Are you by one of the railings, or are you just kind of like in the center of it, or?
It flew towards, or it dove out, like up front, right? Like it kept going in front of us, I imagine, because you said that other druid guy reappeared in some ships like ahead of us.
So like one ship, like 3 down to the left, probably, because this was the one that survived was the one on the left side of the ship. The one on the right side of the ship is the one that got snatched up, smashed into the ship, and then kind of like banked at an off angle away from towards the front of the ship where the serpent came back diving down. And
The
so
serpent was last seen heading
down on the right side.
And I will be there.
Okay. And there you are, right? On the right side of the ship.
Yes.
Which is also coincidentally where the hole is. Everyone downstairs at this moment sees like this, the sunlight that's coming in through this water goes very dark for a moment.
Oh.
And this serpent comes barreling out of the right side of the water of the ship and streaking up and smashing into one of the masts. And it like comes crashing down in splinters and like into the water, carrying with it like the sail that was pulled up and all these ropes that are like tugging and snapping and stuff like that. And it like arcs in an arc over top of the ship above you, Gabriel, and back down on the other side, or at least that's where it looks like it's going. Because I want to give you a chance to what do you do?
Well, at any point while it shoots up and decks our mast, does it ever open its mouth?
I'd say in crashing into the mast, yes. And just a reminder of what these serpents look like. They do look like giant snakes, and so so they swim through the water kind of like snakes. They have this fin on the top and bottom of the back of their tail. But this one in itself, like I said, it's like 2 times the size of a ship, or 2 times the length. It's like 150 feet long, so it arcs for quite a while. And its scales are like a silvery blue kind of color. Really cool. But yeah, it does open its mouth, in fact, to get to the mast.
Okay, and how high is it hitting the mast at?
By like probably, it takes a lot of force for it to come out of the water like this.
I would imagine so. I imagine it can't jump super high.
Yeah, not super high. Probably in this instance, like 20 feet above the deck. Because it's got that factors in the distance from the water to the top of the deck, plus so it's a total of like 45 feet. So that's pretty high, and that's where it's gonna hit the mast.
Sounds good. I'm gonna try to, project my echo right in its mouth. And just go in.
Okay. And you see
I go to the throat, literally.
Yeah, you see as its mouth opens and you look up and you just like it's an instinct almost. You don't even take a moment to think about it or second guess. You know this is what you want to do, and you project your echo up there and you see it appear in front of this snake's mouth and get swallowed. And when you take the form, are you taking the form of it? Are you switching with it?
No. Well, actually, it probably would take damage. So I'd probably have to switch because my echo has 1 HP. Like it dies immediately. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna switch with it. Fuck it. We're going in.
Okay. Yeah, you switch with it.
Followed by a sea serpent. I'm gone.
You switch with it, and it's just dark and slimy and watery in there.
Oh, good. Time to get to work then.
That's so sick. Let me grab a scratch piece of paper.
Probably the most stupid idea I've ever had.
I always have like 10 notepads next to me.
I'm about to die from fucking gastric acid.
No, this is gonna be sick. I don't think
It's either gonna end like a God of War scene where I just like murder it from the inside, or I'm gonna get swallowed and digested.
see, I was thinking more like Gears of War,
Oh yeah.
That's what I thought of the first time he mentioned this idea.
That mission, yeah, that was
okay. So you appear inside of this serpent's mouth, like getting swallowed down its throat, and it's like it's not super tight of a travel because it's such a massive thing.
It's so big, yeah.
So it's like a narrow corridor almost, but it's like just slimy and disgusting, and warm, very warm.
I definitely make sure as I'm going down its throat, I pull out a dagger and I just start going to work immediately.
Like just right into it, and like as you're sliding down.
I drag it down.
That's sick.
Just to hurt it the most, like as much as possible.
Okay, I'm gonna give an improvised damage to this. Roll for me. 8d4.
Right. Did I close? Oh no. Here we go. 8d4.
Yeah.
19.
19. Not the greatest roll out of that, but really not that bad.
It's actually pretty medium.
Yeah, that's pretty medium.
Could have been an 8.
8d4. So, okay, just marking down some notes, and Okay, so yeah, you're like sliding down this thing. You probably travel along, like it's got momentum, and so like you're traveling the whole length of its momentum, like probably 30 feet in this specific turn.
Sounds good.
Just dragging this dagger through it, and already you can feel the warmth of this blood slick just right on your skin. That being said, I do want to come away from you now to below deck again. Catch me up. What's happening down there?
Oh well, you go ahead, Waffle.
Okay. So Rubin has been trying to pull this board from the thing. Does the slave let go after, he tells him to?
The slave, the first one that gets released by Tamacti, that's like of able body, runs over there to help you and is like rips free the slave's hand, and like mumbles something to him, like grabbing onto his shoulders, and the slave like relents and lets go, and you two are able to grab this board from behind him.
Okay, and as we're carrying it over, like, I assume we both like lift it up over our heads. It's like resting on your top of your head kind of thing, pushing it to the other side. I'd like to know if my sign's glowing.
If your sign is glowing, in the moment that it's dark, yes, and it's a 4.
Okay.
So like it's glowing right through anything that you're wearing.
Understood.
And so a reminder of what that sign looks like. It's glowing with like a sort of yellowish sort of tint, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the image of kind of like an ox's skull with like twisted horns, like 4 of them that come off in different directions, and like a sword that's pointing down behind the skull, like hilt up higher and blade piercing down lower below the skull. And so like this distinct image is glowing right through his armor on your neck, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So for those of us that don't have access to the witch hunter transformation, what you referred to like numbers several times in regards to his mark. What do those mean? Like the higher the number, the greater the danger?
Just so you're aware, a 4 means, I'll put it as simply as possible, we should get the fuck out of here. That's what a 4 means.
I'm sure that's the sea serpent. I hope it's the sea serpent.
I am also hoping it's the sea serpent.
But just to make sure, as Tamacti sees that, you said like a bucket floating by?
Yeah, there's like a bucket floating by you.
Yeah, that's what drew my attention.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cast Detect Magic.
Okay.
Actually, how long does Detect Magic last for?
Like 10 minutes in a radius
10 minutes?
around 30 feet.
Then I think it's probably still up from.
It is, from when you used it at the end of last session to find the Wacial kind.
So I'm gonna look around in the water, see if I detect anything magical.
This is so cool.
It's there, isn't it?
It's there. It's fucking there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
God damn you!
That made its way all the way here.
Give us a break!
You and in the moment that you cast this, right, you see like these watery formed hands reach up and grab onto one of the slaves by the collar and just drag it under the water, and all of a sudden it comes to a realization that this thing that has been haunting you guys for a few days now, this creature made of water that drowned somebody on the opposite ship from you those 3 days ago in the storm, is below deck with you.
Son of a bitch. I point out to it, Rubin!
And Rubin looks over his shoulder and watches this slave drowning himself.
Yeah, he's like flailing around still. He's not like dead right away.
Yeah. He's like watching him flying around. Is there by now another slave who can help carry this? Actually, this guy's probably strong enough to hold it for a moment on his own, right?
Yeah, it's like I said before, it's like a 6-foot long board, about a foot thick. It's not the heaviest thing in the world. Covert carries them all the time.
Yeah, and Rubin grabs him real quick to signal that he's like letting go, and rushes over to this slave that's being drowned.
Okay. And So are you just trying to grab the slave and like pull him up above the water, or what?
Yeah, I would like to try and pull him up above the water.
Make for me a strength athletics check.
I think it's a flat D20 either way for me. To 12.
Okay. You like try and grab him and pull him up above the water, and you realize now the water is like up to your kind of like groin, and
Damn.
and you're not able to wrench him all the way above water.
Okay, I would like. Oh, fuck.
And by now, Covert, you've probably released another 4 slaves.
Okay, how many are left?
Considering the 4 that you did earlier than that, a total of 32.
32 are left.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. How many have I released so far?
8.
And in the time it's taken me to release 8, the water's risen from my calves to my groin.
From your knees to your groin.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to destroy water. So that's what I'd like to do.
Okay.
And just try and hope that in the process this man is released.
And you cast it like right
On his face. No, like a little bit ahead of that, but just so it's in the radius, it will displace that water.
Yeah, I'd say it does. So you cast this, and the water is immediately displaced. That 10 gallons that gets destroyed in the spell sends kind of like a shockwave through the water, and like bubbles or a pocket of air that's there just like fills in very quickly. But he pulls himself back above water, and he's like gasping for air, and he's like holding on to his own tunic, and he's safe for now.
Okay. As soon as the man's free, Rubin's gonna run over to the mage in the center of the room.
The mage looks like he's struggling a little bit. So in the time that it's been, I'd say it's been about a minute that all this has been happening. And so Wall of Force is like a single minute, right? Anyone know off the top of their head? Just really quick.
I do not.
It is a concentration up to 10 minutes. So he's still holding it. And his like clothes are just rippling away from this wall of force now, and it's just pushing back a lot of the water that would come in. But like I said before, not all of it's getting stopped.
Right. I think the board is the priority here then for the moment.
This is bad. This is a horrible idea.
Not to mention it that fey creatures in here.
I should have stayed in the Raven Court.
Yes.
It's
You
too
should
late.
have.
It's too late for that now.
And Rubin's gonna move to just get that board in place with the other slave as quickly as he can.
Okay, that's a tough thing to do because the water is rushing in, right? And so you're like pressing yourself, like your whole body into it.
I'm gonna hopefully try to encourage, all the slaves are against the wall there as well to help out.
Yeah, the ones that are in the
still-
benches next to it are actively doing that. Definitely. Coming back away from this then, back up top, or now back underwater, I suppose.
Wherever the fuck I am.
Yeah, the serpent is definitely back in the water now, and as you're like sliding down, right, you run by something sharp that kind of like just catches your arm and grazes against your armor, probably the tip of a harpoon.
Oh yeah.
Or like a spear, or just something that was thrown
yeah.
up at its belly as it was streaking up through the air by the crewmen, because they're still alive, they're still there. And you cease to continue sliding as you make your way into the belly of the beast, and you find there, in the darkness, pressed up against you, a body.
Oh no.
Damn. I look at whom is the body.
It's dark, you can't tell.
Fair enough. Well,
Probably the druid.
I would. Oh yeah, the druid. Does it like seem fresh? You know, as I kind of put my hands on it, like the wounds on it. You know.
It's warm with blood. Definitely.
Fair enough. So I assume it's the poor druid. Well, time to finish what he couldn't, I guess. I'm gonna take out the greatsword and just get to work.
Okay.
Literally just wailing at whatever the fuck I can feel like.
When you say greatsword, do you mean the?
That's the withering blade.
Okay. So for our listeners, the withering blade is actually one of the trinkets of the withered warrior, which is like this figure, this idol of the north. But it is based on the claymore, which is a weapon created by or detailed, I should say. It's probably been created before, but it's detailed, the one that we're using in the Grimm Hollow stuff made by Ghostfire Gaming, and really cool weapon, high damage. So what do you do?
Well, just start swinging until I can find like something that seems important in the body or very fleshy, and then just dig into it, just plant the sword, just go to work, you know? Literally blindly swinging. Just do damage. I'm trying to like either make this fucker spit me out or like, you know, just go away because this is no longer worth it for him.
Yeah.
And then deal with the aftermath of having to drown in the middle of the ocean.
Okay. Wow. This is so rad. You, as you pull this sword out of the sheath on your back, it's glowing with like that sort of purple ripples that follow along the wood grain texture of this like black steel. And you can see that this body is just mangled, just covered in blood, this druid. And as you hack into it, I'm not going to make you roll to hit it because you're literally surrounded by it.
Yeah,
but you are going to have to roll for damage. And this is kind of like a ticking clock a little bit. Because the more that you're in it, the deeper you're diving down. Because, you know, it's an animal instinct that once it starts feeling all this pain, it's probably trying to get away from where it thinks the pain is coming from. In this case, it's not smart enough probably to know that it's coming from within it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And so roll the damage on that. Anything that you would like to add to it, of course, like any skills, it's entirely up to you.
Since I'm hitting guaranteed, all of them will be Ray Weapon Master hits, so plus 10. So let's roll the damage, I guess.
7 plus 10, 17. And also treat all of these kind of scenes that I'm coming back to as a single turn, in which I will be calculating some stuff.
And I can hit him twice, actually. I got 2 attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And for good measure, we'll spawn the Echo here.
Does that also get Great Weapon Mastery?
Yeah, it's essentially I'm attacking through it, essentially, is the way it's worded. Like, for a brief half second, I, like, flash through it, attack, then go back to me.
Okay.
I will use Unleash Echo, which essentially I can make another attack with the Echo, like, on top of my 2.
Oh, okay.
So that's 3. And then I'm gonna do Action Surge to do 2 more attacks. Look, you said it was a ticking clock, so I'm going all out. So all these plus 10, let me just add it all up for you.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, add that all up for me really quick. And when you get that number, just type it in the chat box because we're going to come away from you and I'll describe it when we come back.
Good.
Going back to under the deck. This board is getting put into place and it's being held over by the slaves and you know the aid of this mage using Wall of Force. The water is now up to like your hip bones, which means that it's about halfway up to the top, and there are a lot of slaves in the back that are still chained to the floor. In this time that we came away from it, we can assume that if Tamacti was going to keep releasing the slaves, he was probably able to release another 8 of them.
Okay. So only... What, how many were in there before you said?
40 total.
And I've released 16 so far?
You've released 16. And in that time, the water has come up from your knee to your hip bones. And now is the time that it's probably going to start getting more difficult to move around down here because the water being up to your hip bones, that's a lot of a resistance to move. Not only for you Tamacti, but for these slaves to kind of move around, and for Rubin to move around if you guys are going to try and grab any more boards. But this hole that was, described as 3 feet tall and 4 feet wide, at least the first board is being held in place. But you realize that in the commotion of all of this, when you saw the boards and you came down, the water was already up to the knees. You didn't catch sight of any crude nails.
Yeah.
Not in plain sight.
After the board is in place, Rubin's going to make sure that the one who had originally helped him, make sure he knows to hold it, and encourage those around him to do so, and start moving to the stairs again quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure these crewmen above us are well aware of the ship and what's on it.
You mean this like kind of water figure?
No. Like where the nails and
sorry,
they
yeah,
have buckets and they have yeah. As they should be accustomed to training to empty their ship of water and repair stuff. So, yeah, that's what Rubin's doing. He's sprinting up to the top deck to go find who was the captain of this ship again?
Thorgrim.
Oh, okay. So we're on. Okay, yeah. He's gonna go try to find Thorgrim.
Okay. All right. So you're moving then up the stairs. Like I said, it's a bit lengthier thing to move. So probably by the end of your turn for this scene, you're just now reaching the top of the stairs, and the slaves are kind of holding this board in place. Water is still coming in, right? Because you still have this like 4 foot by 2 foot gap now.
Yeah. How's the mage looking? By the way,
he's still going around. The water's
right?
like up. No, the water's up to his waist. You said his feet are the only thing that's tied there, so he can still stand up.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just making sure.
It's just that if the whole floor were to get flooded, it's possible that he could drown, and everyone else that is down here and still chained up. And then light starts coming in through again, probably at the beginning of this scene that had just happened, as the serpent is no longer coming up out of the water on that side. So, do you do anything else, Tamacti?
There's no more sign of that water creature trying to drown more people?
That's why I ask you if you're doing anything.
Yeah. Do I? Well, I'm wondering if I see it doing anything.
Make a perception for me.
Okay.
Because there's a lot going on. It's probably not going to be directly noticeable, especially if the water is up so high.
Womp. That's a natural one.
You don't know.
Okay, well, Tamacti will sort of just glance around frantically, trying to see if anyone else is being drowned, and seeing nothing, he will continue unlocking the chains.
Yeah, it's like a quick scan. And I'd say you probably found a second kind of able-bodied, or a second and a third able-bodied slave by now to kind of rope into the whole, board the whole situation.
Yeah.
And so they're taking the place of the Rubin, who has now fled upstairs to go find Thorgrim.
Okay, well, that's, the end of my turn.
Okay, sorry, I just had to take a moment to really think about what to say next. This is all, I edit all the this kind of stuff out anyway, so it's not a big deal. But I do want to keep it moving, of course. So you're unlocking these slaves. They're doing that stuff. Rubin is just making up to the top of this floor of stairs, and Gabriel is going to town inside the sea serpent. And I don't know if you guys saw the total damage that Gabriel did in the 4.
Yeah.
5 attacks. It was 108.
Yeah, 108 damage.
I'm going up trying to out DPS him, man.
So
I'm gonna kill the serpent if it's the last thing I do before I die.
Yeah, so you are slashing into this thing, just hack, and then turn around and just hack right into the side, and all the way digging it down into almost near your feet, and turn around and pull the blade out and just smash it into the side of the sea serpent's stomach again. and you can hear just like this underwater, like, you know how animals have that live underwater have these like high-pitched shrieking sort of calls. That's what you hear. It's just all that you can hear with every strike, and blood begins to fill in up to like your ankles now. There's just so much of it inside this creature's stomach. When all of a sudden your echo appears, and your echo is just like going nuts too, and you guys kind of share a glance, like it's like that Spider-Man meme where the two Spider-Mans look at each other and they're like, yeah,
at each other.
Yeah, it's like just a moment of silent approval of like, yeah, good work. We're coming back to your turn, so you have another turn now.
Time to do more damage. I'll do because I'll unleash again, so that's 2 plus that feature. Now I lost my sword. Oh, there it is. Add 10 to those.
Yeesh. Add 10 to each of them?
Yeah, 47.
Okay. That's wow, man, Gabriel's too strong.
Oh, well, he is the king of the north, so
okay, so wielding this glowing sort of purple how many times can you unleash your Echo Knight?
I have one more shot. I can unleash it the amount of times with my Constitution modifier, and I have 16 Constitution, just plus 3.
Man, Mercer, what have you done, dude?
Built different.
And so you do like this total of 170 damage in like 2 turns.
Yeah. But now,
albeit they're like
spent,
guaranteed hits, so it's kind of like a big buff.
Yeah, I mean it is guaranteed hits, because otherwise it wouldn't be, because I wouldn't be great weapon mastering all these attacks. Like the only reason it's so high is because of that.
Yeah. Okay, so that happening, you cut a hole clean through this creature's stomach, and water starts to rush in. And it's like dark water. It's like a sliver of light that you can see. You might be down a fair amount.
Yeah, I put the sword on my back, and time to swim the out of here. Time to get out of here. But don't worry, I have a plan for swimming, which is all about teleporting with my
teleporting with your echo. Once again, Matt Mercer, what have you done?
It's so good. Never mind though, I can only do it once a turn, which equates to 6 seconds, so I can't do it like constantly.
And you can hold your breath underwater for like, what is it? Con mod plus some number.
Let me Google that real quick.
Water rules are such a rare thing to use. But yeah, figure that out really quick while we pan back to Rubin, who just made it up to the 2nd floor, and you see that that Mother Ishka is no longer there underneath at the 2nd deck, and Corin is just making his way. Actually, you don't see Corin.
Is there any like other crew on this level, or does it just seem like empty right this second?
It appears that everyone has vacated this floor in decision to go up onto the top deck. Okay. And
then Rubin darts up. He might not necessarily need to find Thorgrim himself, but he definitely needs to find someone.
Okay. Sorry. You make your way up to the top deck, and you see the first thing that you see is just all these non-able-bodied slaves that are up top are just being pushed away from these ropes. Like there are still these kind of 2 ropes linking your ship to the one next to you, the Wave Watcher, and some of these Northmen they've given up on trying to secure the sails and stuff like that. Everything that needed to be done is done, or they've just been like, fuck it, we don't have time. And they're trying to move over to the other ship. They're going one at a time, like crawling upside down across these ropes, like legs kind of knitted together, hanging upside down, pulling themselves by their arms across to the other ship. And like I said, these slaves are just being sort of kept away from the ropes, and you see Thorgrim now off of the helm, sort of directing people over to the other ship.
Rubin's gonna sprint over towards Thorgrim.
There's like a good, including the slaves, like 30 people there, so it's a bit of a crowd. You got to kind of push your way through, and you get to him, and he's like,
he is doing it. Yeah.
He's like shouting, "All right, you're next. In the back. Stay away, slave." Just stuff like that, and you see him like shove a slave that falls onto their back at this like last moment that you make your way over to him. Continue.
And Rubin comes up and immediately like grabs him to get his attention, right? Like on the arm. We need men with buckets and hammers to the bottom deck now.
He like looks at your sort of chest, not like looking at your chest, but like looking through you as he's thinking, in like this quick moment. Yeah, you go find Nails, get down below deck, and then he points to 2 more, and he's like, you Nails, you need to find them now. And these 5 northern warriors like nod their heads, and just in these little clutches, these little groups start making their way down over towards the stairs and headed towards below deck. Make a perception for me.
Okay, yeah, I would like to do that. Perception. An 11.
Okay. Nothing else really stands out.
Sick.
Hate that.
By the way, do I notice is the serpent anywhere near? Has my sign faded? Has
The sign has faded to like a 3.
a 3? Okay.
The serpent is nowhere in sight.
Is there any sort of buckets around? Or like anything that looks like it's gonna hold water?
Yeah, there are not only buckets, but there are also these barrels.
Okay, Rubin's again, like still holding Thorgrim. He's gonna point towards these barrels. Get as many people as you can. Start ferrying out the water in the bottom.
He looks at you and kind of like catches the back of these 5 that are going down, and he whistles once, and the last 2 that were going down there, he like just quickly points to the barrel, and they look at him, they nod twice, and they get the hint. They run over and they start hacking at these ropes that are holding the barrels tight against the railings with their hand axes that are their sides. And they free one of the barrels and start to take it down. There's like those 5 included 2 more just crossed. There's like 6 more men there, and he issues them. He's like pointing towards the barrels, and they get the hint as well, and mumble something before scurrying off. One of them like pushes one of the slaves out of the way in moving, and they go about starting to make ready to ferry this water out of the ship.
Excellent, and Rubin goes to do the same and help them in this process now that he sees people's bodies actually moving on the right course.
And coming away from this, shifting over, we come back down below deck to Tamacti. Tamacti, you freed another like 4 slaves, only 4, because this water is just, you have to like hold your breath, dunk underwater, try the key, unlock them, shift over to the next one, and then you have to like sort of very slowly make your way around to the next bench. Sorry, I blanked for a second. Unless there's any specific way that you're going about it that might speed that process up. It's all you. It's your character.
What if Tamacti's going to sort of suck in a breath, and dive under and stay underwater and try and like sort of swim between them?
I'd say in doing that, if you stay underwater, you probably, it'd be a natural thing, I would assume, to like use the benches too.
Yeah, to sort of like move, like grab them and sort of move along, and that might speed the process up as far as not having to, duck my head under the water every time to look for them, as well as not having to sort of wade through the water. I could just kind of glide through it.
I would agree with that. Totally. I'd say that you were able to free 2 more then, so a total of 6.
Okay.
And this water is coming in underneath the. This water is coming in.
Why are you laughing?
And there's light coming in with the water too, and so you can kind of see underneath, right? Underneath the water with your eyes open.
I'm going to cast the cantrip Dancing Lights. I'm going to have them. I believe it's 4.
I think it's 4. If not, it's at least 3.
So I'll have 2, like 1 over each of my shoulder, and I'll send the other 2 sort of ahead of me, so that I can see where I'm swimming to, even underwater.
That is so sick, because in this light, now that you have this light and you're underwater and you're looking around as you're going forward, you see, and it's still a little bit blurry, of course, right? Because you're, looking underwater. You see one figure, like a shadow of a figure, just kind of like slumped down in the water, like loosely sort of floating, like arms kind of floating a little bit. And you see another one right next to them, a figure flailing around.
Son of a bitch. Tamacti is going to. I was trying to think of a swimming stroke, but I can't think of any. Flutter kick.
You got the butterfly.
Tamacti's gonna flutter kick over there.
Is that a real stroke?
I don't know. I'm not really much of a swimmer, dude. Just hop in the ocean and like slap waves and cry out Poseidon's name and challenge him to fight me. I'm not much of a swimmer.
That's pretty sick.
And as he flutter kicks over there, he's going to pull the small punching dagger off of his belt and hold it in one of his hands. And as I get nearer, do I make out a shape in this water at all?
Make a perception.
Oh, you can't fight water. What am I gonna do?
That is so cool. It's not clear whether they're being drowned from like behind, like their head being pushed down underwater, or if they're being pulled from in front of them.
Okay.
But one or the other. It's got to be one or the other.
I'm going to.
And just to be clear, so you're stopping releasing these slaves to hopefully save one.
Yes.
Just letting you know.
Tamacti is going to go over to this one that's struggling and unlock their chain.
Okay.
And try and shove them up.
And
Sure to shove them up and away, if that makes sense.
Okay. As you you said the one that's drowning, right?
Yep.
Okay. As you're going over to and trying to put the key in this lock, sort of like an invisible hand tries to push your hand away, like diverting the key from the keyhole.
Okay, as that happens, as I feel it, I'm going to punch out in the direction of that force with my punching dagger. I wasn't like really keeping it concealed, but I was kind of keeping it lowered. So as I feel that force, I like strike out with the punching dagger.
That is so cool. Yeah, make an attack roll for me, please.
Yeah.
Wait, he can attack the water? Hell yeah. Let's do it.
That is an 18 to hit.
An 18 hits.
Yes! Yes! We can fight water now!
Let's fucking go!
That is a 7.
A 7 piercing.
7 piercing damage.
Okay, that's sweet. As you punch out, you see sort of like a brighter cyan sort of color start to flitter into the water like smoke. And you hear like an ear-piercing shriek. And this thing, it's no longer drowning this individual. And they're able to pull themselves above water, like gasping, like spitting out water, coughing, just like almost retching. But it's probable that this figure is not dead.
I turn to the camera and with a straight face say, "If it bleeds, we can kill it."
This is so cool. Coming back, it's probably so about the time that this is happening with you. Rubin is just now making it back to the stairs leading down into the bottom deck with these other sort of Northmen that are sloshing down into the water. And we're panning, camera zooming out away from this scene back over to Gabriel, who is now. How are you going about this? It's like a slice, right? You can see a sliver of light through it, and so are you like pulling apart this?
Well, yeah, water's gonna be pouring in everywhere.
Yeah.
So I assume this fucker's dead. Because, I mean, if water was pouring in profusely through my internal organs, I think it'd be a pretty messy thing. But I think I've either crippled it enough to where it won't come back, or it's gonna die alone at the bottom of the ocean. So it's time to ditch this sinking ship. So I'm gonna just pry this motherfucker open and try to swim out as possible.
Okay, I think that happens. So you're like just hands in the crack and just like pulling it open from both sides and like getting out of it and starting to swim. You realize now that you're out of it that you're about 90 feet beneath the surface.
Oh, that's not bad at all. That's way better than what I was expecting. Because the thing is, I'm wearing heavy armor, and with heavy armor, you cannot swim. I have a 0 swim speed, but thankfully, I have my Echo to carry me, like always. So I'm gonna. So essentially, what I do is just, send the Echo 15 feet, because whenever I teleport with it, I sacrifice 15 feet of my movement, and I use my movement to move it, so in total, I can only do that. So 15 feet up, switch, and then, ad nauseum until I'm up top, and I can breathe again.
Yeah, okay. So we'll kind of shorthand that when we come... Actually, it's still your turn. So I'd say we probably get through all of that, and you flash forward, and it's like your vision just warps forward as you take the place of your Echo, and you have to do this 6 times, and finally you make your way up to the surface, and it's really difficult to stay swimming, of course, as you mentioned in your plate. Do you move yourself using the Echo, I would assume?
Yeah, always. I don't even attempt to swim myself, because I'm just going to exert myself for nothing.
Okay, and you are the closest ship to you is the Sea Serpent, because the other ones, they still had momentum when they were starting to stop, and so the closest one is the sinking Sea Serpent currently, and it's probably about 100 feet away from you.
Time to do that again.
Okay.
Just horizontal this time. I gotta catch up with it before it takes off.
I think you get about halfway when we pan away from you then. A little bit of a fast turn, but there's kind of less going on your end. A lot more simplified.
Yeah, man, just put open a sea
yeah, I mean, I've done my job.
When you made your way out of the Sea Serpent, probably the first thing you noticed was that it was just kind of like slowly drifting down lifelessly. Blood pouring out of it, water pouring into it.
I'm the goat.
Insane damage, really. It had 200 HP.
No one will believe me. I should have taken its head. Damn it.
Yeah, a little trophy.
Yeah, you have to drag it to the shore to do that, though.
Don't think I can. I'm the goat, but not that much.
So, you start making your way horizontally. Come back over to men that are down underneath the water, sort of like using barrels. And they're not entirely able to keep up with the water that's coming out, because the process of moving one of the barrels all the way up through the water, it's a heavy thing. It probably takes like 3 or 4 of the Northmen to do that. And they're only catching like 3/4 of a barrel in the process, and it's only 1 barrel at first.
So, but I see them run down here, I assume.
Yeah, you see them slosh down into the water. You can hear them kind of sloshing into the water through the water itself.
I'll call out. I'll sort of peek my head back up above the water. I guess I don't know. Would my head already be above water, or would
I don't think so, because as you try and stand back up on your feet, you realize that the water is now like halfway up your chest.
Jeez. Okay. I'll kind of
and
stand
all
up.
The slaves are like standing up and really trying to keep their head up, and. Yeah, sorry, keep going.
Okay.
I was just thinking for a second.
I'll pop my head up and call out to them. Careful, there's some sort of water fiend or fae in this water. You can't see it. If you feel something trying to pull at you, strike at it decisively. It may not look like there's something there, but I assure you there is.
Okay. And they start picking up barrels and buckets and starting to take it up above. And two of the guys start swimming over with nails in their hands towards the first board that's in place. And what about Rubin?
So yeah, Rubin came down probably towards the end of the chain. You know, he dunks whatever bucket he managed to get his hand on, and he hands it off towards the next like slave that's going up to just have them carry it up with them when they go. And he's gonna run over, because I know there's a lot of kids, and this water height is probably taller than the kids. Are there any that look like they just can't make it to the water line? You know.
I'm gonna say that's what I paused to think about. Like halfway up Tamacti's chest would probably be at like neck height for a kid by now.
Yeah.
And so it's possible that the ones that aren't freed, like there's probably 3 kids about that height, the water's getting pretty close to their head. And as you are, so you're making your way through the water now? Is that
yeah. He's walking through it to look to see who needs like to go immediately.
As you're walking through the water, you step onto something. It feels like a body.
Yeah, and I'm gonna cast light.
There's already dancing lights here, so
okay.
I don't know if it's really necessary.
Yeah. Rubin looks down then to see, you know, beneath the water.
You see that there's this individual. Probably it's one of the slaves that was trying to swim. Because in Tamacti releasing these slaves, it was my assumption, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he's doing kind of like the right-hand side of the ship and going from front to back, and then would be starting at the back of it and going left side back to front.
Yeah, but I assume I jumped back to the... I assume I jumped to the left side to free that guy that was being drowned.
Yeah. But so in freeing those first... there's 20 on each side, and so you're already pretty close to the back. You were like coming up on the last row on the right side.
Okay, then having freed that guy and you know, given that water fay what for,
that's actually what I was getting into. So before we continue with you,
my apologies.
As you're looking underneath the water, Rubin, you see this flailing slave that's being drowned, and their head being just bashed against the like bubbles coming up from their mouth, and their head just being like raised by the hair and then shoved back into the floor of the ship, and then raised again and shoved back into the floor of the ship. And they seem pretty helpless right now.
So that's what I stepped on?
Yeah, it's this body that's being drowned.
So I assume they're not being dragged into the floor, or is there something on top of them, like pushing them down and hitting them against the...
That's up to your interpretation.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to delve down into the water. You know, I don't think Rubin's aware yet that this thing's a physical manifestation, so he's just going to try to pull this guy up.
Okay.
You know, he like reaches down onto his shoulders to get a good grip and just yanks up towards him.
Okay, as you're kind of reaching down, make for me a strength saving throw is what I'd ask for.
Still just a flat D20 for me. It's a 4.
A 4. You feel a force on your chest push you away from this drowning figure, and you kind of like float back a couple feet, and all of a sudden you see this head is just raised up again and just smashed right down into the water, and their nose is probably bleeding right now.
So Rubin is gonna once more take that dagger into his hand, and he's gonna step forward to try and, you know, plunge it down into whatever's on top of this guy, or wherever he had been shoved from.
Okay, you see the bubbles are no longer coming out of this person's mouth as you kind of plunge this dagger forward. Make an attack roll for me.
Can do. Stand by.
13. You are not able to find purchase with your dagger.
Gotcha.
It's unclear where this thing is, and you just like lunge out, and you hear kind of like a shrieking cackle in the water that just sort of echoes like a dolphin almost. And and this body there goes limp. This person is probably drowned. And I'm going to cut away from you to Tamacti. What was Tamacti doing? Sorry, I cut you off before, but I just want to finish that scene.
I assume I witnessed that and sort of shake my head in sadness. I'm going to swim with the key clutched in my right hand and the punching dagger still clutched in my left hand. Gonna flutter kick back over to the right side where I would resume unlocking. You said I was like on the last row.
You're on the last row, yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna have somebody in the Discord like, what is a flutter kick?
I'm gonna look it up right now to confirm.
Somebody's gonna tag you, covert, you idiot.
I thought it was like one of those Bruce Lee moves, you know, where he like jumps up and like, blah, 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 blah,
like 4 kicks with his left leg at the same time.
Yeah.
The flutter kick is a kicking movement used in both swimming and calisthenics.
Oh, calisthenics. Wow.
I don't want to hear it ever
We learn
again.
something new every day.
I don't
here.
want to hear it ever again.
Well, now I gotta Google it to see what the fuck it actually is.
Okay, and so in kind of that punching dagger sort of turn, plus you coming back to these two and having abandoned your action of freeing them previously, I'd say in this scene, in that like punch plus you going back to freeing them, you're probably only able to free 2 of them in this sort of. So you get to the last row and you start on the last row on the left side as we pull away from here.
Okay.
And we come back to Gabriel, whom is like quickly sort of appearing and then jumping forward and appearing and jumping forward and appearing and jumping forward. And you're able to catch up with the tail end of the ship, and you can see, you know that the ship was hit on the right side. So it's up to you.
Yeah.
Your options, are all yours. What do you do?
I'll go on the right side. Now that I'm on the ship, pretty much I can move by using using the wood of the ship. So I'll move to the side on the right to see what's the situation and how we doing there. If it's still completely fucked.
1 board is in place.
Okay, that's a good sign. How many more we need?
The gap is still 4 feet wide by 2 feet tall.
Gotcha. And we're using what kind of board length, like covert length or real boards?
Like human height, length, and
Okay, cool.
like a foot wide.
Nice.
So like 2 more boards would probably seal it.
Sounds good. Well, I definitely don't have any boards to seal them, so I'm. And is water pouring inside the ship, through the hole, or
Yeah, there's still water getting through. It's drastically lessened, but water's still getting through, and it's not clear to you why.
Okay. Anyone on the other side seems to be drilling anything, or nailing anything. We don't got drills yet.
Yeah, you do hear the pounding of nails going
Okay,
in,
good.
and you can see protruding from the backside all of a sudden this little sort of dark steel just punching out from it.
Sounds good.
And the first board is secured in place completely.
Excellent. Then seems they have that handled. I'm go towards. I assume there's a sort of rope ladder, to get up, or just little boards on the side of the ship to climb up.
I'd say boards, yeah.
All right. Then I climb up, and finally, when I'm up top the deck, I'll just collapse down for a couple seconds.
Yeah. and Thorgrim comes over to you. What happened?
The serpent is dead.
The serpent's not dead.
I nod. I saw it drifting to the bottom of the abyss when I escaped its belly.
He clasps you on the shoulder. Well, good to have another withered warrior again, I suppose. He looks over his shoulder. He's like squatted down, and
kind of stand up to my knees. Good to be here.
And you see, and he sees looking over his shoulder that it's now the slaves that are crossing across the ropes over to the other ship, and the top of the neighboring ship, which is the Wape Watcher, is just overflowing with people right now.
Yeah.
As nearly 20 slaves have crossed over, plus a lot of the
for the whole crew.
A lot of the crew that was on the ship, yeah, including Mother Ishka.
Got it.
Mother Ishka.
How are we on repairing this one? Is it lost?
I don't know. I've been keeping track of the top of the ship, but Rubin and your other friend Tamacti are down below the ship working on it already. And I've sent some of the men to start bailing out water.
Very good. What of the wizards? Did they survive?
The wizards are both survived, yes. The mages, one of them teleported back onto the ship, and the other one, I witnessed what you had done.
Very good. One of the druids is dead. I found his corpse inside of the serpent. I could not bring it back.
He grimaces and kind of like trails off to the side. I fear that he's not the only one dead, and he looks down like at the floor of the deck, like almost through it towards the bottom.
Woo! I see. We will count our losses when this is over. I will go downstairs to help whatever I can.
And he takes his hand off your shoulder, nodding to you a couple of times.
I get up.
When this is done, if the ship is still in one piece, find me.
Very well. I will see you later. And I'm gonna tap him on the shoulder once, and I will start bolting it downstairs. Well, not bolting, but hastily stepping downstairs.
Yeah, and you see as you stand up and start heading for the stairs, like nestled into the front of the ship where like the railings meet up, right? You see sitting down like on its rear with its legs extended out, this little doll sort of figure.
Oh my god, it's Vasily.
It's Vasily.
I ignore Vasily.
What's silly?
Very shabbily made, like no clothes on.
Yeah, a garbage doll.
Dude, he's a special kind. Be nice to him.
I messaged Prowler and told him you should have named him Lesnitsky.
I really should have.
And Lesnitsky was
gone.
Was gone.
For those of you that don't know what that means, you really need to go play Metro Last Light. So as Gabriel starts making his way down the stairs, like making your way onto the second floor, you can see where the stairs are for going down into the first floor or the bottom floor. And the water now is like up to like just above nipple height for like an average standing adult male.
Sounds good.
So it's like it's creeping up on the collarbone height. And
I would say I'm slightly above average human male height. So
you are. If I recall, you're like
6'5".
6'5". Yeah. Gabriel's a tall guy. Like probably the distance from the top of your head to like the top of one of these decks is like just a matter of a few inches.
Sounds good. I guess I'll get a bucket, get to work, or who looks like they need help down here.
In passing, probably every bucket is occupied. Like,
Fair enough.
but in passing, you did go by the quarters where the giant like salad bowls that you guys used to feed the slaves were. If you want to grab one, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, sure. I'll run up backstairs real quick and grab that, come back, and start taking water out with help the guys. While I assume we got the carpenters working on the boards.
Yeah. And speaking of that, as Tamacti finishes the back two rows on the left-hand side of the ship, so a total of 16 slaves that have left unfreed, you see Tamacti that there's a child like 4 rows ahead of you that is now underwater. But these other sort of able-bodied men, and you've recruited another 2 of them, are now going about getting these boards alongside, working hand in hand with the crewmen of the ship that have come down, and they're getting the second board in place and already starting to nail it.
And they seem like they're cooperating.
They seem like they're cooperating.
This is how we free them.
But yeah, this kid is now like waters above their head.
Do I see Rubin around?
What's Rubin doing at this time?
Rubin is now looking for the mage.
Okay. And Tamacti will swim over to the kid and unlock him.
But yeah, he is in the middle of the ship.
Yeah, the mage is in the middle of the ship there, and the water now up to like almost his collarbone, of course, because he's average male height, and he looks at you, and the water around him is sort of like rippling away from him as this like just magical energy is there. Like before, it was sort of wind that was rustling his robe. Now it's like the water's rippling away, And he's just like looking down into the water, just holding his arms forward. What's your interaction with him like?
Yeah, Rubin, after seeing that Tamacti, like he sees that the mage is all right. Looks around again to see, if any of these kids are underwater. Spots one, but Tamacti's already, right there. He's on it. And so Rubin continues wading through this water towards the mage. And when he gets up to him, is there anything you can do to help with all this water in here? And he looks around, noting that there will probably be a few more bodies before they get this thing patched up.
Whether it's like water or sweat, you see like beads on his forehead and his hair is just matted down. I mean, he was underwater, so at one point, so that's that. But he looks to you like in a glance, side eye kind of. Do you want me to stop this and just, or I could do something about the water, yes, but this seems a bit more pressing.
And he nods, realizing that he was still holding back the water behind those boards.
Yeah, and he's like pursing his lips.
No, focus on that.
Right.
I'll focus on finding this thing.
Okay. And so you're probably looking around for it, right?
So, you said earlier that the water that was rushing in was like red from that serpent that had been killed.
Yeah, it's like partially red tinted.
And now it's kind of like, what is it now? What's the water looking like now?
It's still like partially red tinted just because there's so much of those. Like the serpents that were swimming along the side of the ship were like 50 feet long. The original one that you guys had hunted was like 70 feet long. This one that attacked it was like 150 feet long. And so you can imagine kind of the amount of blood that would come out of a 50-foot long sea serpent as it's like pierced into by these giant fangs.
A lot of it.
A lot of it. And so the water is tinted this reddish color inside the floor that you're on, which is a really morbid kind of aesthetic. But I like where you're kind of going with this if I'm tracking you. So what's next?
Yeah, so obviously Rubin has dabbled in sanguimancy. And there's a lot of blood in the water here. I'm trying to see if I could use this spell, and again, this isn't something that specifically stated in it.
Rules are rules. We'll see.
Sense lifeblood, using, all this blood that's in the water to try and figure out, perhaps where this creature is. It's I'll post it in here.
Yeah, post it for me.
That's pretty sick.
Again, it's not necessarily what the spell says, but wondering if something could be bent to that effect, given that this whole thing is just filled with blood.
Yeah, give me just a chance to read this really quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, so reading that, and we mentioned this in one of the previous sessions on the B side. We have a document called Rules of Rules, or maybe it was on the A side, one or the other. But we have this document called Rules of Rules, and one of the rules is like, Prowler reserves the right to modify the effects of spells reasonably so for the sake of roleplay. And I think this is a really cool use of this sense lifeblood. I think one could argue that even though you don't realize that you're looking at it, you are looking at this creature in the water. And so kind of stretching it just a little bit, you could use this sense lifeblood to now recognize where this creature that you see is. Like it's you make a perception alongside it for me really quick.
Yeah, sure. Let me come on, perception. A 20.
20. So yeah, using this spell and kind of like looking really, really closely, you see that this figure is kind of like there's a lighter patch where the blood isn't as thick there, because this creature is made of water, and it's made of its own water, and so it's like that weird sort of effect where oil separates from water when it's in a glass, or like grapefruit juice, like you can see the pulp sort of separate from the water itself that's in there, and so you can see this outline of like a clearer figure, and it looks almost like a person just there in the water, and it's swimming towards one of the individuals, the slaves that are at like the front left of this floor, so the furthest away from Tamacti.
All right. And how far away from that is it from me?
Probably like 10 feet, 15 feet.
10 or 15? Because that makes a big difference.
I'm gonna say 15.
Okay.
The ship is like 75 feet long.
Yeah. Reuben would like to start, converging towards it as it's moving. Obviously, he's probably not as quick. But now that he knows where it is and he can effectively kind of track it, he's moving towards it.
I'd say in this turn you are able to reach it.
Then, would I be able to... I'll explain to you what I'm going to be doing, and you determine where it would cut off.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sensing that, at this height, Rubin's not going to be able to get any real thrusting momentum with any traditional weapon. Nothing like that. Wouldn't be able to battle underwater. He's going to take his slithered dagger and slide it along his hand to draw some of his own blood. And I'll roll damage on that real quick. Stand by.
8. Yikes. Yeesh. Okay.
He cuts deep. And then after that has finished, cast Crimson Lash.
Crimson Lash.
There he goes. There you go.
To create this sort of tendril, I guess, of blood that is now his, that's mixing with the water, that I assume would have no difficulty moving through the liquid, given it is the liquid.
That's really cool. But I'm going to allow that. That sounds pretty sick.
Woo!
I was really trying to trigger you out there. So you do this, and just like kind of in the pixel art, the whip is like very rigidly, clearly defined. It's like the perfect spinning image of a whip. It's just made entirely out of blood. And and I'm gonna say where that whip forms in your hand, that'll probably be where this scene ends for you. However, now that you're all in the same place, Gabriel's kind of what exactly was Gabriel doing again?
I was helping the downstairs crew with bailing water, correct.
Got you, yeah. And you're pretty strong, like much stronger than the average person, I would say.
Probably.
You're probably helping out moving the barrel, I would guess, which is like the most
that works.
effective you could be about it.
Anything.
And I am taking all this into account, just to be clear. Like, now that people are bailing water, the rate at which water is coming in is reduced. So this does make a difference. And
sounds good.
And Tamacti freeing people still, right?
Correct. Now that I see Rubin focusing on what I assume, I see him lashing out, and I see it striking something. I feel a little bit assured now that I don't have to worry about the fake creature anymore.
Yeah.
So yes, Tamacti will continue going around, and before he sort of goes back to just unlocking them, in like sort of the row format he'd been doing, he's going to look around to see if there's anyone else that might be about to kind of have their head underwater that he would need to focus on.
I think all the people that were in that sort of instance have been taken care of.
Alrighty, then Tamacti will swim back to just the start of the row and work his way down.
Okay. And as you're like swimming back, you see swimming out from your side and grabbing onto a board a Northman and a slave, and they like kick off the side of the boat that has like these boards and swim back over towards the other side to put the last board in place. And so I kind of have a feeling for how this is going to pan out for Gabriel and Tamacti. So I am going to focus on Rubin now.
Sounds good.
For a little bit more. So Rubin, what are you doing?
Yeah, as soon as I close that 10-foot gap and am able to cast this spell, Rubin's going to attack this creature before it gets to the next person. With this lash, he's going to kind of flick it out and try to strike it.
Please roll that attack.
It's a 9.
Also the attack roll though.
That is the attack roll.
Oh, that is the attack roll. Yeah, you miss it. It's just a weird feeling trying to use this whip underwater.
Gotcha.
Do you
Am
have extra attack?
I do, and if I'm able to use any of my features, I don't know what.
You are. It's definitely like your turn, so to speak.
Okay, then I would be able to make 3 attacks.
Okay.
So let me do that then real quick.
Okay, a 25 and an 11. The 11 doesn't hit. The 25 does, though. So you like whip out once, whip out twice, and like the 2 miss. And then like the third one, you kind of home it in.
Sick. And then... Wow, that's unfortunate. 8. So 8 damage.
damage. How much damage was done to it before? Does anyone remember? Just really
7.
quickly. 7?
Yep.
I thought it was 7. I just want to make sure. I'm scrolling. It probably picks up in the mic and you guys can hear it.
Yes. That is correct.
Yeah. Just a sec. I'm checking a stat block really fast. Okay. I'm gonna say, yeah, you hit it, and as you like lash onto it, like you grab its leg, and it like swipes at the whip, and like severs the bond of like blood there.
Mm-hmm.
But in the process, like it clearly took damage. Like the whip that coiled around its leg, as it released, there's like a ring of this sort of cyan-colored ooze like coming out of its leg, around its ankle where it was caught, and it immediately starts to swim towards where this last board is being put into place.
Oh, fuck. I assume that's the end of my turn.
Well, we know what Gabriel's doing, and we know what Tamacti is doing, unless... Do either of you
no.
change what you're doing?
Nope. I keep bailing water. We've got to save the ship, or a lot of people are going to die because of overpopulation.
Then yeah, I want to hear what you're doing, Rubin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna ask you to stretch more and ask if I can grab it with the whip, because it is liquid on liquid. So
I would say probably not.
So Rubin's gonna do the only thing he can, because he's not faster than in the water. He's gonna keep striking at and hope, maybe he does that lethal blow, or at least slows it down enough to where they can get that board in.
Mm-hmm.
And he can finally corner this.
You can make the rolls for that sort of stuff. Go for it.
Sick.
12, 11.
These are some low rolls.
16. So like you lash out once, it misses. You lash out twice, it's just behind it. You can see like the very silhouette of the figure. And the third strike hits it. You can roll damage for that.
Oh, I was attacking with the wrong thing.
Oh.
You have like no modifiers with that. Literally, just what's your? This is just
attitude. All those. I don't know if a 14 hits.
A 14 does hit.
Okay, so 2 of those hit then. Sorry, that was my bad.
Yeah, so the first one misses. The second one, like the whip like ripples through the water behind you as you pull it back, and you bring it forward, and it just like snaps forward and strikes it once. Then you do the same the second time, and you can see like these 2 spots forming on its side, like near its rib cage, or where you would assume its rib cage is. Where this damage happens, and it starts to bleed like this cyan liquid out of it, taking
this
a
time,
total of
29
damage. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, the other ones were low rolls.
That's some good damage.
29.
Yeah.
Plus 15, 44 total damage to it so far. It's injured. And it's oozing quite a bit, but it's still alive, and it's still got enough energy, and it gets right between that gap where the last board was going to be put into place, and then the board gets put into place right behind it.
So now that shit's inside the ship where I am?
No, it's out of the
it
ship.
Left the ship
Again.
Oh, you were trying to You were trying to finish it.
Yeah, I was trying to kill it before.
Yeah, if you want, I go for another dive, man.
I don't think this is the same.
Like a measly 6.
Yeah,
I think it's it's 44 damage, 7 HP away.
I only want to hit one more of those attacks.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That includes the damage it took from my punching dagger?
Yes, it does include that.
I feel like I remembered I did exactly 7 damage.
Yeah, it was 7. Yep. Damn, man. Unless
This Crimson Leash is what?
you
It's a
would allow
spell.
me to go through, allow me to say that I was flanking it because I was hitting it from the rear. But
Hold on,
otherwise, no.
aren't you a paladin?
I am.
Just
a
pump
paladin.
Divine
Flanking.
Smite in this shit. What are you doing?
Do I have? I don't have any spell slots left.
Okay, I was gonna say, because if you're
I have
not like,
I have a level 2 spell slot.
well, are you level 2 paladin?
Stand by.
Or are you
Yeah.
level 1 paladin?
Yes, I
If
think
you're
I
level
am
2, you
paladin.
can use that second, and you can use it on an attack that hits. Like you can declare it after the attack hits, and you can Divine Smite. It's a 2d6. Actually,
I-
3d6, I think, with second level spell.
Can I do that?
That might kill it.
I don't know. You tell me. Can you?
I can, and I will.
Base.
Okay.
Assert yourself. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So actually, it's not d6s. It's a 3d8 for this one because it's a 2d8 for a first level spell slot, and then you added the 8 per spell level.
Okay, so just
So, kill
rewinding
it.
back a little
Okay,
bit.
rewinding first.
That-
Thank God I'm here, man.
You hit it once, and you see that it's just about like it's just a couple feet away, and these guys are coming over, like swimming over with the board, like just launch themselves off of the wall from the other side, and so you bring back your whip for that final strike, and describe that for me. What does it look like?
Yeah, the whip coils out. You know, Rubin's not got a lot of momentum left in him, but there's still enough room to fit his hand above, in that air pocket and really whip his wrist. And along the surface, there's this ripple that shoots out all the way towards this creature as it's trying to swim away and just lashes right against its back.
Okay,
So,
but it's a smite, so is there any sort of glow to it? Any other thematic flavor that you want to add?
Yeah, as it hits, there's like this burst of kind of like this red crackling energy and a
Oh,
bunch
like-
of bubbling at the surface of the water.
I imagine if it's crackling, it's kind of like arcs of lightning
Yeah,
that explode out from this impact site.
yeah,
Like just
Exactly.
red lightning with like this sort of blackish, dark red aura around it.
exactly.
That's sick. Like if you guys have ever seen Monster Hunter, like the dragon damage, how it's like that red sort of lightning. Like you know what I'm talking about, right, Strider?
Yeah, I play
Yeah,
like
Yeah, I
so
don't-
sick.
I don't play bad games.
So
I'm afraid
sick, dude.
Stop.
Yeah.
Just stop there.
That's what I was kind of going off of.
Yeah, that's so sweet. And that happens, and you see this creature just kind of like reaching one of its arms forward to kind of get that next swimming stroke, and just goes limp, like just freezes in motion, is just like drifting lifelessly in the water there.
Thank God I
Yes!
remember your class feature as well.
Oh, man, thank you. I sometimes even
God damn
forget I'm a paladin, dude. It's rough.
Yeah, it doesn't really ever do much paladin stuff other than like
You wasted
oh,
2 levels
Tormach.
on this shit. You gotta remember.
Well, yeah, that's true. I haven't
Paladin's
had
a
a
good
lot of stuff
class,
to
man.
use radiant damage on, you know. So
Hey, it's extra damage, and you know how much I love that. I always use it.
yeah, hell yeah. And as this happens, the blood whip that was in Rubin's hand just dissipates, and everything around it turns like a slightly darker pink. And he goes about looking to see what's going on in the rest of the ship now, having
The
been
last
completely enamored by this fight.
Yeah, the last board just got put into place, and they're nailing it in, and all the water's being bailed out. And now you see that this last board is being put into place. The mage, who has been going by Matisse, like lets her arms down, like limp, in the water, just kind of like going into a resting sort of position, as this wall of force is no longer needed. They've been keeping it up for like a couple minutes now, a few minutes.
Damn, so that dude came clutch after all.
Yeah, think of if you guys had not brought him onto this ship. Like all that.
Yeah, probably would have sunk, and
We love roleplay here.
Yeah,
Thank
Thank
God
God
his
that
hands
he
were still
didn't-
broken.
Yeah, I was gonna say, thank God I didn't break his hands a second time. That would have been pretty bad.
And so yeah, that happens, and he kind of goes limp, and and just sort of gestures off to the side with like a lazy hand, and like 10 gallons of water just like evaporate immediately, and steam just starts pouring up into the second floor and probably up towards the surface. And he lets out like a sigh of relief. The ship is saved.
Woo! We did it, boys. Strider killed a fucking god serpent, and we bailed out water.
And
whoa.
And the slaves were
We
freed.
saved an entire fucking
Someone
boat.
needs
Except for
to
two.
save.
Except for 2.
Except for,
Hey, I mean,
except for 2.
2 or 3 deaths, you know, for this whole thing.
Yeah, one
Pretty
druid
acceptable
and
losses.
2
That was-
slaves.
Pretty
I gotta
acceptable
say,
losses.
yeah. Considered they were prepared to lose all the slaves and abandon
Yeah,
the
right?
ship.
Exactly.
I
Yeah. Well,
We
yeah,
should-
because like
you know-
in their eyes, it's like, okay, well, we got like 13, or we have like 12 ships left, and these are just slaves.
Yeah, I know. To them, it's literally just extra people that are gonna like more mouths to feed, like no
Yeah.
space for everyone. I get it. I understand. But you know, we from the south here. These guys don't get it yet, but like we don't quit
Yeah, that's so cool. And I think now is a perfect time
to break.
for us to take a break.
Thank
So go to
God.
the bathroom if you need to, get a drink if you need to. That scene was sick.
That was awesome. Thank you for indulging me there. I know.
Thank you
I
for
know
indulging me. I was in the mouth of a fucking sea dragon.
Yeah, and think
that
about
shit was awesome.
and think about when we come back. So on your break, think about Tamacti, or think about what Tamacti is going to do after all this. Think about how a lot of the other slaves that are off on that other ship, they did make it over there, but after all the kind of able-bodied crewmen made it over, and Thorgrim did say that he wanted to see
Yeah, I was gonna go see him.
you
right
after this. So yeah, while we're on break, think about that a little bit, and that's where we'll pick up. Okay, we're back, and so we resume. You guys, we're doing a minor time skip, right? The water has been bailed out. The boards that have been put in place have been reinforced. So like not the material itself, but like just more nails, just to make sure that they're there. And a few guys have even gone on the outside of the ship and nailed some from the outside, because the pressure coming inside is more likely to free the boards than if the boards were outside. And so there's boards that are being put outside as well. And the slaves are being transported back to the ship from the previous other ship, and the crewmen are making their way over as well. And everyone is kind of nestling back into their places, and there's a man going about chaining the slaves back up down below deck.
I'm- Go ahead.
No, you good.
I just had 2 questions.
Uh-huh.
One of the people that died wasn't that girl that Rubin definitely promised was going to survive, right?
I'm gonna roll 1d40, and if it rolls on a 1,
Oh, no.
a 28. It was not that girl, no.
Oof.
Wait, but
and
she
then-
was. But I seem to remember she was 28th in line. So
No, she's fine. But yes,
Okay.
2 of the slaves did die.
Gotcha.
And of course, that druid was still in the belly of the sea serpent.
And the other question is, now that the water is like starting to go down, was the creature, did it have a physical body, this Fey being, or after it died, did it start slowly like kind of just dissipating amongst the?
It kind of turns into like as if it's like a drained, like, man, how do I explain this?
So like a skin.
Yeah, think of it like a skin.
Okay, I gotcha.
It's just been drained of all of its contents. The water, like the oozy sort of cyan color.
Yeah, Rubin would like to go up and pick it up. I'd like go over and pick it up.
Yeah, it's like picking up like a literal sack.
Yeah, and he'll just slap that over his shoulder, and I'll let everyone else continue saying what they were doing.
The way I think of it, those those ice cream places that have those little beads of like jelly kind of that you can get on your ice cream.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like those little the juice itself on the inside is that color, but like the little film is like transparent, so it's like a transparent kind of skin sack that you just pick up.
boba
Gotcha.
pearls.
The what?
The boba pearls.
Yeah, kind of boba pearls.
Tamacti is going to one at a time carry the two bodies of the slaves up to the top deck and lay them like sort of reverently and carefully down. And then he's going to reach into his bag and pull out a small vial of writing ink, and dipping his right index finger in it is going to draw on both of their foreheads sort of crude wheels that look like sort of the spokes extend out past the kind of circle of the wheel, and what a follower of the old faiths would know to be the symbol of Moriel.
Yeah.
Sort of
Yeah, I knew that one off the top of my dome.
A gesture to them sort of from beyond, try and like, you know, make their passing on to the next life easier.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, one of the kind of crewmen of the ship comes over to you and like nudges your shoulder with like the back of his hand. Outsider, what are you doing? They're just slaves. They're dead. Toss them in the water.
Tamacti would turn to look at him. I will pay them the respect they deserve first. Then they will be taken care of. I'm sure you have more important things to be doing, no?
He like half rolls his eyes and just kind of shrugs, like whatever, it's your time, and just shuffles off to do something else.
And then after completing this, Tamacti will take up first the body of, we'll say, a sort of frail elderly woman, probably in her 70s, and he'll carry it over to the gun wall, and he'll sort of rest her on top of it for just a moment, and then he'll roll her over the side, and then he'll do the same to the second, an older man, not quite as old as the woman. This is the one that probably fought underwater.
Yeah.
And then he will do the same, sort of pausing for a moment, contemplating, and then roll his body off the gun wall as well.
Got it. What about Gabriel?
I'm gonna go speak to Ean Grimm or whatever, because he said, "Hey, if we survive, come find me." I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna do that."
Okay. And sorry, did Rubin also already say what he was doing, or?
After picking up the flesh sack, kind of just like draping it over his shoulder, this, I assume, like translucent material. He's gonna just go over to the mage, you know, and check on him, what he's doing. But you can handle their stuff if you want before we get to that.
No, I want to hear this. I want to hear it.
Okay. Yeah, Rubin comes first to check on him, like looking him over, not necessarily asking, "Oh, how you doing?" But you know, how's he looking?
He's wearing, you know, soaked clothes, and he's just kind of sitting down there, like on his rump, knees bent upward in front of him, and like draping his, like the crook of his elbows over his knees. He's just kind of like looking down between his feet. Hey, I'm well, that was that.
And Rubin lowers down onto a knee and looks him over a little bit more. Your help was appreciated. You stopped this ship and these people from dying, even if it was for your own benefit.
And it was. And he kind of like slowly lays down in his place and extends his arms out kind of above him, you know, horizontally above him. And mutters, "All right, well, come on. Tie me back up."
Rubin looks over him for a moment and then stands back up. I think for the moment you've earned the right to have the freedom of movement.
I'm dangerous. What will your friends say?
I have hopes that maybe you will survive this, and In fact, the both of us will get something out of it.
He nods a couple times. Then I suppose I'll sit here.
He nods his head in turn. And he's gonna look over there. I assume this bottom, he's probably one of the few people remaining now, besides maybe a few of the seamen and slaves who had been ferrying up water.
Well, the slaves are being kind of like shackled back up, and they're
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So they're already putting them back in. All right.
yeah.
So there's not much seamen that's still below deck.
Haha.
There's like two that are shackling people up.
And the particular slaves that had, gone through and helped Rubin, get that board there, and were holding it, and during all that, Rubin moves up to, and he's not making a big deal of it, but he shakes their hands and just moves on, not saying a word.
Yeah. They're all kind of like, they know their seats. It's the seats that they've spent many days in. So they all kind of, go to their, not that they have assigned seats, but their seats. They go back to their seats and are just waiting for themselves to be shackled back in. And you find one of them, and he's just kind of also drenched in clothes, and drenched in like water-soaked clothes, and it looks like he's starting to shiver a little bit.
Yeah, and Rubin comes up from behind him, and a hand's laid like on his shoulder to get him to turn around.
He flinches and kind of like recoils away from you, and then turns to look over his shoulder at you.
And Rubin reaches out now with his other hand to grasp like his palm, and squeezes it a little and shakes it, and it's hard to tell exactly what's going on. Obviously, he's still wearing this helmet, but it's definitely meant in a sort of endearing or at least respectful way. And then he releases him and moves on to the next few, and eventually works his way to the front and heads back up.
And as you start to make your way back up the stairs, like the last slave is just now getting shackled back into their place, and the mage calls back out to you. My name's Vova, by the way.
Good to meet you, Vova, Rubin said as he, glanced over his shoulder. I will be back soon.
And then his head explodes.
We can have a talk.
And
As civilized men.
He nods a couple times, maybe like just deep in thought or something, but his eyes like kind of gloss over, like a little bit watery, whatever he's thinking about. Probably pretty emotional for him. And yeah, you make your way out.
Yep.
You pass by Mother Ishka. She's back in her spot.
And Rubin offers her a wave as in passing. He's heading to the top to find Gabriel and Tamacti.
Unless she specifically asks for them back, I'm gonna hang on to the keys for now, Prowler.
Okay.
I'm not like returning them to her, if that was like a unstated assumption.
Okay. Got you. And you are still above deck, and Rubin is going up above deck, and the conversation is happening between Gabriel and Thorgrim. And Thorgrim looks at you, Gabriel. You guys are probably up at the helm, and the little Wacial kind is not there. He's actually nowhere to be seen on the top deck. And Thorgrim the ship is sailing again. It's after the boards have been put in place. And Thorgrim is at the wheel, and he looks at you. So, I suppose that there's a conversation that you've been wanting to have with me.
An odd, uncomfortable situation for most of you, but something we need to iron out before we touch down near Malkovia.
Yes. I've seen you on the top ship the last couple days, working with some of the men, getting to know them, getting to know the ship. And it doesn't go unnoticed, the feeding of the slaves. We're
I know.
aware of it. And
So they have told me.
and what went on down there when all this happened, and you participating in hacking up the serpent that we killed 3 days ago and helping to deal with this. Practically, no, you did deal with this one. He corrects himself.
I did what I had to do for the fleet to survive.
I'm ready to listen.
Good. Now I simply hope the others will as well. All I am asking is, I do not expect you to unlock all the chains for them to, well, there's nowhere for them to go anyway. They would be poor, they would be homeless. All I want is for them to be treated like men and women and children. To be fed. They can still work and row the boat. It needs to be done, and it is a job like any other. I just feel like they've earned their respect. I am not from your culture, of course. I do not know what goes on in acquiring a slave, what brings them to become one. But I feel, at least for this voyage, and for the situation we are heading into towards Malkovia, for those who will come with me, of course, none is required to follow me. All I ask is to treat the slaves like they were one of you. And hopefully, in time, we can get rid of them. And of course, like I have told you, once all of this is resolved, if we survive this dark reign, the Lich, and whatever else come, then I will deal with the consequences and the politics back north once I return there. Whether I like it or not, or whether you like it or not, because I have taken this artifact, I am part of your people now, in some way. And it's not something I can ever run away from. New responsibility to deal with once all of this is over. And if people wish to go to war with me for my choices or my beliefs, so be it. I will war with them.
He nods a couple times, listening and taking it all in. And he stops for a moment to think. Probably the better part of a minute. And it's like 3 or it's like 2 or 3 p.m. by now. And his eyes come down at the wheel, and then like ahead of him as he's sailing while he's thinking. And then he turns his eyes back to you again. The slaves on this ship, and I'll talk to the others on the other ship. But for now, I think that we could treat them with some semblance of humanity. Their shackles will be released from their legs. That is all.
As for food, we have more than we are supposed to because of the serpent.
We do.
Perhaps some solid food, even once a day. I understand this is hard for you, which is why I'm asking for small steps. And of course, you do not need to indulge me in my asking. You do what you want. I'm simply saying the ones who will choose to follow me will need to abide by these new rules. And those who do not, well, we will deal with all of that once I return north, if I live.
Speak to the others, your friends, if they're willing to eat half rations.
We have been doing it already.
Then I think that the slaves could eat on these ships.
Very well.
That doesn't go for every ship.
I understand.
You'll have to speak to Morgan, you'll have to speak to Seer, everything. But amongst our people and our slaves, For the time being, they will be unshackled and they will be fed. That is all
give
for
him a
now.
bow. That is all I can ask for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you and the rest of you.
Of course, and I hope to be of use again once we touch down near Castellar to raid.
I'm sure you will.
I extend my hand to give him the shake, or whatever they do, the forearm grip thing.
Yeah, the clasp.
And a clasp, there you go.
And
I'll clasp his forearm if he does.
And he pauses for just a moment, like not out of like disrespect or anything like that, but it's just like it's a lot to take in for him, for somebody who grew up this way.
For sure, yeah. I'm shaking up his whole world.
And he extends his arm out and he clasps your forearm.
I give him a nod, and I will head out then back downstairs to leave him alone at the helm.
Okay.
There you go, guys. Small steps, guys. So when he said his people, I assume like this clan or whoever he's in charge of, or not in charge
The
of.
merchants.
Yeah, they have a couple ships.
Yeah, they do. They have this one and the Wintermaw.
Sounds good. So that's
Which
2
are
ships out of 11 or 12?
Out of the remaining 13.
13. Okay,
I believe.
we got to speak to the others. So we're doing something. But like I said, I don't expect all 13 of them to follow us into, to Talistar. I assume, I'm dude. If I can get 2 of them to follow, I'll take it.
Yeah.
All right.
You guys ever see the show? I already forgot the name of it. It's like about gladiators. It's like a kind of a drama.
Spartacus?
Yeah. You know how like it's like that kind of vibe that I'm getting, where like there are some of them at first that are like super loyal, and then like the other ones that get freed. We'll see. We'll see where things go.
I'll lead a slave revolt if I need to.
It's really cool what's happening right now. I would not have. You can't write any of this shit.
Yeah.
And so you go back down below deck?
Yeah, I'll go find Tamacti and Rubin, whomever I may stumble on first.
You probably come across me just as I finish putting the 2 dead slaves to rest.
Ah, yes. Tamacti,
Hello.
how was the business back on the ship? I see all of you survived and we did not take much water. How is that?
Through a combination of goodwill, really, is all it can be explained as. Brave men and women, and those freed from bondage deciding to do something to help those still locked within it. As well as, admittedly, the help of a few brave Northmen who seem to set aside their differences with the slaves, if just for a moment.
Well, speaking of that, I have spoken to Thorgrim. It seems like my exploit with the sea serpent has sparked a willingness from him to listen to us. And as long as, we four are willing to eat half rations, the slaves on this ship and the Winter's Maw will eat, and they will be unshackled, for the remainder of the voyage at least. I have managed that. And that will have to do for now.
Tamacti would reach and clasp you on the shoulder, and you'd see that as you'd been talking to him just now, he had sort of a grim expression on his face. But you see that he seems to have a bit of warmth come over his face after you've said this, and he smiles. That is excellent. You have proven me wrong in more than one way, Gabriel. I am not afraid to admit that.
I am glad to see I can still surprise people. Now that there's 2 ships out of 13, we have more work to do. I will need to speak to the other leaders, Thorgrim has told me. When I get the chance, the 3 of us should go and try to make our case as to what we are facing with the oncoming dark rain. I certainly do not expect the entire fleet to follow us into the heart of Nova Stoya, but at least a few. And if not, well, we will make do with what we have.
Indeed.
Hopefully the Lycans will be there as well to answer the call.
One can hope.
I think about then probably Rubin would reach the top.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say, actually.
And he looks around and notices you two conversing and strolls over.
Then,
What happened to the serpent?
dead.
Dead.
I plunged into its maw and killed it from the inside.
Well, isn't that something?
I suppose so, but I imagine the water did most of the damage. I made a hole inside, and then while water started pouring in, I cannot imagine that must be good for internal organs.
Why? Well, that is impressive. Meanwhile, I struggled with this thing. And he tugs on like the skin roll he has over his one shoulder.
I heard all of you did good on the ship, saved it practically. Otherwise, it would not be standing still, or floating rather.
And he looks over to Tamacti and offers a nod. It was equal parts. I think we got lucky that you were able to dispatch it so quickly before it made another hole. Otherwise, the ship surely would have sunk to the bottom.
Indeed.
All I wanted was to keep the serpent away for as long as I could. Seems like it worked. And you two were able to save what remained. So good. Now we have, as I was explaining to Tamacti, we have 2 ships who will allow the slaves to be unshackled and fed. As long as the 2 of us will take, or the 4 of us will be able to take a ration cut.
By how much?
I've already told them, yes, it's half.
Oh, well, we've already been
That
eating.
is what I have told him. We have already been eating less.
And Rubin nods again. And there's one more thing I wanted to bring up with the 2 of you, if you have a moment.
Kind of tilt my head as if, go on.
The wizard that we captured proved vital in our efforts to save this ship. Of
We
course,
still need to interrogate him.
that
I
is
forgot
the
about
thing.
that.
I'm not sure. Well, there is a way that we can learn all this information, but I think he might be more beneficial alive. And I think he
I
might
was not
have...
planning to kill him.
Well, that is how we can extract the information. I don't think these mages that are with us would be able to remove the curse that is placed on him.
Ah.
He nods.
Well then, if not, we already have a pretty good idea of why he was put here. Slow down the raiding fleet.
He gave me his name, and I think that perhaps we could convince him to get the aid of the Raven Court. I doubt they would want the Lich ruling over everything. They are
I believe
human.
the
last
Raven
I
Court will
checked.
be a stop before we get to Malkovia, correct?
Is that an out of character question?
No. Very much not. Because
Yeah,
out
that's
of character I know that it's not, but I don't my character doesn't know the map.
I
Rubin
believe
also
it would
shrugs.
be a detour of some magnitude.
We have.
Well then we
Well-
could send him on his way once we pass.
Yes, or he might be able to just simply teleport himself. He did get here, after all.
Nod.
But
If you vouch for him, then I accept.
It could perhaps be a way to guarantee some goodwill from the Raven Court.
then I would like, with your both permission, to speak with him some more on this matter later.
Certainly, you have my blessing, not that you need it.
He nods. Good.
Tamacti would simply give a thumbs up.
Now, if there is nothing else, gentlemen, I have a Weshel kind to find.
Very well. Go on.
The door.
Oh, I saw it when I was coming down to help with pouring water out. It was standing right over there, and I point to like where the door is, heading down the stairs.
It was at the front of the ship. At the top deck, but like at the very front of the ship.
Okay. Tamacti would stride in that direction.
It's clearly not there where it was. It was like where the railings meet at the very front of the ship. It was nestled in there.
Let's see. You would turn around and sort of survey the top deck of the ship with an eagle eye, trying to perhaps spy it hiding somewhere.
I'm not gonna make you roll because it is not up here.
Okay. And Tamacti will head below deck to the mid quarters. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? In all this excitement, I think everyone pretty much forgot about Speaker Corn. I'm gonna go check on him.
I've accepted for him to take a food cut. I hope he doesn't mind.
Yeah. As much as I really want to have a conversation with this special kind.
Is anyone else going down there to?
Yeah, Rubin.
Yeah, I
will
guess.
go with him. I mean,
was
it
planning
is
to
his
go take a
father
nap.
after all.
Okay. Sorry, Strider, did you say you are?
Go with them too.
Okay.
Speaker will be in the middle of a blood sacrifice, probably.
You would find Speaker Corn eating the Weshel kind.
You'll find the Wayshow kind eating Speaker Corn.
No, but as you guys open the door down into the second deck, and like as you're coming by, like some of the crewmen are like actually like slapping you on the shoulder, just like a token, sort of.
Hey, shout out
Okay.
a brotherhood.
To all of us, or just Strider?
Yeah, to like all of you.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys, most of them didn't even see me. Only the guys on the top deck would have seen me go in there.
Yeah, but the others saw that like Rubin came up and was like, "Hey, we need to bail water now," and the others saw that Tamacti was like freeing these
Exactly.
slaves and like ordering them to go help. Like if even if they don't view slaves as like a human, like at least the effort of like
It was a good logistical
recruiting.
effort.
Yeah. And so as you guys open the door, you see Speaker Corn is there sitting cross-legged on his bed on the bottom bunk on the left side, and sitting there cross-legged with him while he's carving these runes into the wall is the Weshel kind. And so you see, when you make this symbol, it means the word "the" in the abyssal tongue. Very simple.
Sorry, he's teaching the Weshel kind?
He's
Yeah.
converting him
He's
to the true
teaching-
faith.
He's teaching the rest like abyssal.
Just to confirm, it's Vasily, right?
Vasily, yeah.
I see you have located Vasily.
Actually, he located me.
Interesting.
I
We've
nod.
been chatting for some time.
It's good.
Speaker Corn seems pretty pleased.
I trust that you weren't affected by the events of the ship sinking.
He gives you kind of like a knowing grin. Not like a toothy
Glad
grin,
to
like
see you all
mouth
fine.
shut. Mouth shut.
A wide smile.
Yeah. The
Good
Lord
to see
has
you all alive.
more. Yes, the Lord has more in store for me, I'm sure of it. I would not die to a sinking ship. Plus, it seemed like it was under control.
Indeed.
Certainly could have done worse.
As you have requested, Rubin, I have not finished it yet. He glances to kind of like now a paragraph of very large text just scrawled on the wall there.
I'm sorry, Quarren, but I couldn't help but hear as I stepped in. You said this is abyssal.
Yes, this is the abyssal tongue.
And having learned that now, Tamacti would sort of look at it, and he hadn't been able to quite make that connection before, but now that he sees it, he doesn't recognize the language, so to speak, as like understanding it, but he now having known that it's abyssal, kind of can look at it and be like, oh yes, I have seen this before.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, and he points to like the very last rune. I need but make one single etch, and it will be complete.
And Rubin's
Well,
gonna
for
step
now
over
we have
to
freed
read
the
what
slaves.
Sorry, what? One at a time?
Y'all go ahead, Rubin.
he just steps over to read it. That's all. Continue, Gabriel.
Saying to Corin, well, now we have freed the slaves. I would appreciate if not all of them were to dissipate in smoke or whatever isn't planned for them.
You see, Gabriel, that's the thing about these sort of things. They require sacrifice to the Lord. And the power that we would gain on our journey would be far greater than any you could get from these men or those wolves.
If you are such a believer in sacrifice, perhaps you should look inwards.
He chuckles to himself a little bit.
I am certain that whatever you could get us would be far superior, but like I have said to others as well, I believe we should solve this problem by ourselves. If men cannot come together and stop this crisis, then maybe we don't deserve to survive it.
I understand.
But you are your own man, Speaker Corn. You will do what you want. I will not stop you. But you will deal with the consequences of whatever choice you make.
He kind of quietly nods and leaves it at that and turns back to the runes.
I sit down on the bed and fucking knocked out.
What does it read now?
It's pretty much a continuation along the same lines of what
okay.
you had read before. I'll type it out later and send it to you.
Yeah,
if you want to
no
verbatim.
As Rubin's knelt there, he's kind of like leaning in to look over the bunk beside him, and he looks to the puppet and then to Corin. I have gotten the gem, and he takes a second to feel around himself, having completely forgotten where he had put it for a moment after this rush of a day, and finally remembers he'd put in like one of his pouches on his belt and pulls out this what is it, like a sapphire or
It is a sapphire, yes.
yeah, he pulls out this sapphire. It will allow you to go anywhere you desire.
Got it. He looks at it and for me to use.
Yes.
Oh.
Where we are going, it will be a war. And I don't want to see you perish in it.
Are you sure that this is something that you're all comfortable with? He looks between you guys.
Well, we all agreed on the trade.
This seems like an expense. A large one.
For me, it's well worth it to see you alive.
One we all agreed upon in advance, I assure you.
I nod.
Right. Then I believe that I will return to Olstenburg.
If, when you return, you manage to, regain your following, and there's still time left, feel free to send more people our way. I wouldn't complain.
Nor would I.
I will try. Our people are still in numbers there in Olstenburg, Rubin. I'm sure that I could muster up a few plenty.
It would be well appreciated.
Indeed, we will need all we can.
How do you suppose that I use this thing? I just think of home and...
have no idea how any of this works, Tamacti.
And Rubin also looks at Tamacti, given he's
uh,
That I am certain Mother Ishka can tell you.
You see, my brain is so addled.
My dementia.
Dementia.
I trained to identify this spell, and thus I am uniquely suited to tell you about it.
he would say as he goes to open
Open the player's handbook.
So how are these gems used?
He holds the gem in his fingers, like between his thumb, index, middle, and ring finger, and he's sitting there staring at it, like focusing on it, like squinting, for probably the better part of 10 seconds, and he goes to say, "I think that I figured it out," and gets like halfway through the word "out" and just like
Vanishes.
sort of a warp swallows him like a spiral, and just like he's gone. There's like a sound.
Well,
And you see, as he disappeared, like Rubin kind of reaches for the air. You know, he wasn't quite
Yeah.
expecting him to leave.
yeah, I
so
know,
soon.
right? Like, Dad, I love you.
And he's sort of stunned for a second.
I just look
And
at him for a second.
leans back.
Oh, that was fucking.
Yes, but well, at least he is safe. I hope.
If he is back
teleported
home-
himself into the ocean.
No, I do not think so.
And he nods.
You will see him again when all this is over. I told him I would make sure you live.
The racial kind there that's like sitting cross-legged. He has like very kind of long, pointed like wooden nails, and he reaches out to the runes.
And Rubin grabs his fucking arm.
Don't
Rubin
finish.
grabs his fucking arm.
Yeah, I'm gonna take out my knife and I'm gonna just put a like a cross through that whole like rune line or whatever, just so to or quote unquote erase it, you know, or make it void.
Okay.
Just
Yeah, I
so-
think you're
just
able to
so-
grab the thing's arm.
Yeah, no one can finish it just even by accident. I'm gonna just scratch over with a knife a couple times. That
Yeah.
will make sure not to use this.
Now that
I-
you got the Weshel kind, Tamacti's gonna walk over.
Now, why don't we have a conversation? Since the crisis has been averted, we can pick up where we left off.
What are you talking about?
Talking to the Weshel kind here.
You're
This-
speaking to the doll.
Is not a doll. It is something far more interesting than that.
And what might that be?
Sure, you heard these stories as a child, or perhaps as a wanderer after. Humans kidnapped by fey creatures and replaced by enchanted structures of wood, fashioned
Well-
in the crude bastardization of humanity.
Not specifically that, but I have heard of fey creatures by my mother a few times.
I believe
Vasily, right?
Vasily, yes.
I
Yeah.
believe Vasily here is what is referred to in the old wives' tales as a Weshel kind.
But you see me like struggle to say the word a weshel kind. I see.
Isn't that right?
I say, directing the question to Vasily.
Before his head, so he's like cross-legged there, and as Rubin goes to reach for him, he like turns his head to his right to look at Rubin, right? And then as you start talking about him and say like, "Isn't that right?" Rather than turn his head further right to look behind himself, he just turns it back forward and back all the way around left to you.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of stares at you and like blinks one eye and then blinks the other eye. He doesn't say anything.
Is it supposed to speak or?
I am not sure, I confess. I'm not exactly the expert here. I just had this suspicion, you know. You live as long as I do. A natural curiosity starts to form of all things in life. It's how one stays alive for so long. And, well, when I heard the stories about a doll on the ship being moved around without anyone acknowledging they had done so, as well as, well, seeing it grab onto the ship last night, I got a bit curious. And
Fair enough.
earlier today, I employed a bit of my magics to track him down and confirmed that he was moving of his own volition. I can't think of anything else that fits the description of what he is, other than the Weshel kind.
Fair enough. I
Just to
suppose that's
clarify,
a
my sign's
reasonable
not gold.
curiosity.
Your sign is completely gold.
Okay. Just
Vasily, you have nothing to fear from us, I assure you. Myself and my compatriots here mean you no harm, and truth be told, if your real nature was revealed to the ship, would probably be 3 of the people that well, you would need to be least concerned about as far as your safety is concerned.
He tries to yank himself free from Rubin.
Yeah, Rubin, let's go. He doesn't hold him down or anything.
He walks over towards the window and like grabs onto the edge of it and like hauls himself up so that he can look through the window that's pointing out towards the back of the ship.
Damn, he's about to kill himself.
He's gonna spider monkey out the window like he did last time when I caught him.
Doesn't sound like you guys are moving towards him at all.
I
Tries to crawl out of the
stand
window.
I stand up off of the bed and sort of walk over.
Are we going to continue to do this song and dance, Vasily, or can we at least have one conversation?
He says to you, very nasally and in very short sort of phrases, "I come back," and then crawls out of the window.
Tamacti turns around and looks and sort of like his eyes get like kind of wide and he like whistles. And he's like, well,
I come back.
I mean, was I right or was I right?
Suppose you were right. Not that I doubted you.
I am surprised he's interested in the faith.
Rubin says, looking to the unfortunately now useless writing on the wall.
Speaking of the faith, and while I am on a winning streak, so to speak,
I point a semi-accusatory finger at Rubin.
Rubin, are you and your
he
father
turns.
followers of Venan?
No.
What about Citri?
Are you just going to go down the list?
Well, I'm just comparing my notes to things I have seen the both of you, if not engage in, at least conversate about. Those two seemed the 2 most likely contenders.
No.
Very well.
Would you like to know? I've never made it a point recently to hide my faith.
I can't help but be the slightest bit agitated when your father carves abyssal runes onto a ship with the express purpose of sacrificing the sanctity of human life to gain power, and you yourself have shown some aptitude for controlling people's life's blood. You can't hardly blame me for wondering.
Yes, it is necessary sometimes for sacrifices, but I agreed with you when it came to this one. It was not worth it. And there were people that deserve to live.
Who is it you and your father pray to, Rubin?
Tormak.
I look like I don't know what they're talking about.
My eyes narrow slightly.
And
And
Rubin's
who
eyes
is
are
Amok?
imperceivable.
Are you and I going to have problems, given my heritage?
I don't see why we would.
Very well.
And Tamacti would turn and sit down on his bunk, of which he would now be claiming the bottom bunk now that Speaker Four is gone.
Okay.
I was going to say, Tamacti, if you wanted to go, perhaps look over or supervise the unshackling of the slaves.
I
I do not know when it will be done. I imagine soon.
trust that they will do it shortly, and they will do it well. Truth be told, I believe that the performance of a few of them helped their own case down below decks. You should have seen it,
Good.
Gabriel, seeing the Northmen and the slaves working together. Well, it brought joy to my heart.
Well, this is what will need to happen if they are to trust each other. And one will need to look at the other like persons, and the other will need to look at them like brothers and not their captors eventually.
I agree.
I will think about what we can say to the other leaders. I do not know what they will want for proof or willingness from me or us.
Well, it is a worry for another day. We have made great progress in a relatively short time, considering how ingrained the practice of taking and owning slaves is to these people.
True, it was hard for Thorgrim to let go, and I cannot blame him. He is not a bad man. It is simply all he has ever known. To him, they are simply not human anymore, because he was never told that they were. It is easier to chain your enemies if you demonize them.
Mm-hmm.
So powerful words.
Thank you. I'm somewhat of a philosopher. I will go get us some food for the day. I think we've all earned something to eat.
Oh, here, don't worry, I've got it covered.
And then Tamacti would pull out the remains now, probably basically picked clean, of the elk haunch.
Oh yeah, true.
Now that Speaker Corin's gone, we can all split his ration evenly.
I suppose so. Now that since we are all taking a cut, technically in half, he was as well.
Maybe
No, we can
I have
get that.
I have an idea. We don't tell anyone he's gone yet, so we can keep collecting his ration.
Well, that whole spare ration could go towards the slaves.
Exactly.
Right. Sure, let's do this. Not like Cohen left the quarters anyway. And you'd see Gabriel open a bag of Cheetos.
Do you guys, other than get food, and think like only like large sort of things, is there anything else that you do today?
Rubin would actually ask for Corin's ration for today.
Okay, and he would receive it.
Well, I mean, like, from the other two.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure. I don't care. I'll give it to him.
And he would take it below, down.
oh, I know what you're doing. Okay, continue.
I gotta go feed our homie.
Yeah, to go feed the wizard.
Nova.
Other than remove my armor, eat, and I'll go work the top deck with the rest of the guys, like I've been doing for the past couple of days. Work day's not done. It's only like 2 p.m. Still got work to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that till the evening, and then go to bed. Blah blah blah.
Got it. Tamacti, anything?
Tamacti, now being alone in the cabin, would sort of get on his knees in front of the bunk, sort of close his eyes and resting, sort of a meditative state. Would reach out, sort of in his mind.
I speak now to the Arch-Sheriff Moriel. I do not ask for ascension. I do not ask for protection or guidance. I do not deserve any of these things. I ask merely that you help me to see the best way to protect these poor wretched souls enslaved upon these vessels. Enable me to do this, and I will be your instrument to do what you will. I swear this upon my soul.
Okay. There's no response. But, as is the nature of arch-seraphs and arch-demons, they're always listening.
And Tamacti would get up and he'd lay down. He's got nothing else to do. He's whooped. It's been a hell of a day.
Okay.
Hell, you telling me?
Gotcha. So Gabriel and Tamacti are both laying down, right?
No, I'm working on the top deck until the evening. And then, yeah, sleep. Because you told me when I was speaking to Thorgrim it was like 2 p.m. or something. So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
still
yeah.
going. Still got some sailing to do.
Tamacti's gonna take a quick nap.
Okay. And Rubin?
Yeah, Rubin's going down to the feed Volva
Okay.
and have a discussion with him.
Is it Volvo?
Volva.
Volva.
V-O-V-A.
Vova, my bad, not Volva.
Over. Yeah,
I
I
was,
was gonna
like,
say,
that's an interesting. That's an interesting. name.
Yikes! No.
Gonna cut that out in post.
Vova.
Edit this out, Garrett. Yeah, so you find your way down to Vova. He's there.
Yeah.
Sitting down. Actually laying down, probably.
And Rubin approaches and sets down beside him, with a hefty thunk. And reaches over to hand this half ration to the man, assuming he's awake.
He is. He's got his eyes shut, and he opens them and goes to sit up and looks at the meal. Does it have your sleeping agent in it?
No. It is exactly what I have eaten today.
Why?
Because you have proved your worth to me, at least.
Well, all mages are worth something. It's our nature. We spend our whole lives studying to be useful.
Worth not killing and dissecting your mind.
The man's turning to look at him,
He extends his hand out for the food.
And he hands the food over.
Thank you for considering me. I appreciate it.
I will not bother you with questions of why you're here, or what reason you had to attack these ships, or why you helped rather than just blew another hole in the wood. But I assume the Raven Court.
He puts up a hand to stop you.
And he stops, staring.
It's something that could be guessed. So it's not a secret of the Raven Court. I just didn't want to say it before. But I was sent here to stop these ships from raiding.
And he nods. Well, there's a
I
bigger
failed.
issue at hand than a couple raiders. An
There
issue
is.
I'd like your help with.
The undead have been assaulting the Raven Court for some time.
And he nods his head slightly. This fleet is moving to amass troops to fight the undead and the lich, and hopefully end this thing decisively. I think we have a common goal in this regard, and those at the Raven Court do as well, and I would not refuse the help of powerful magic.
The Raven Court does have power. And I am powerful. He takes a bite of his meal and looks at you. I wanted to sink the ships, not kill everyone. So I held back.
And Rubin nods a little bit.
These shackles on my feet, I could remove them.
I'm sure you could simply vanish out of thin air as well. I don't doubt your power here. I knew the risk when I unbound your hands.
If I teleported from here, I would not be able to teleport to the Raven Court. That, I can't tell you why.
Would you be able to get there before the next dark rain?
I doubt it.
He nods his head.
I could go to Castelor or Malkovia and sail down the river and towards the Raven Court, but that's on a small vessel, and I don't have the coin.
And not cast Lord Bad call.
Then I guess the only question remains is, would you be willing to fight this fight?
If you could see the undead crawling up the walls of the Raven Court, and how many I had sent back into the sea, I have been fighting the fight.
Rubin nods again. And moves over to fish something off of his belt. He's fiddling around a little bit. And grabs the keys for the remaining set of manacles to undo them.
Okay. And when you undo them, he just kind of just remains sitting exactly how he was.
We have recently sent someone away, so you will get their rations, or at least part of it, if the slaves need extras.
Does this come with a place to rest?
He sighs for a moment, thinking, yes, there is a free bed upstairs. I trust you won't try to murder us in our sleep.
Do they?
Hard to say. But they trust me, and I am trusting you. So it will have to do.
Right. I think I'll stay here for one more night. And then I'll join you.
And he nods a little. Tomorrow we will discuss options. Getting you to the Raven Court is our highest priority, but if that cannot be done, then we will figure something else out.
Right.
He paused for a second. Why did you use the name Matisse originally?
He looks down at his food and he takes a bite while he's thinking. I imagine he just has like strips of this like elk meat that were given to him. And he chews it slowly, savoring it. The Raven Court knows a lot of things. More than any collection of any library of perhaps all the libraries across the continent. But in truth, I don't know. I suppose the name stuck with me.
I'd like to roll an insight on that, because it's a little more than a coincidence that he used that name when confronted with us.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe he knew who we were before he came here.
You can make an insight, sure.
It's a 14.
It's not clear.
Gotcha.
His expression is very solemn when he says it.
Have you met the druid? The one from Follow Her?
Oh, yeah, him. Yeah, we all know, and he like air quotes, the druid. Yeah.
Did he not tell you of us?
No. Look, we're not all as bad as him, if that's what you think.
And Rubin shrugs his shoulders a little bit and starts to stand again. It's difficult to know what to think these days.
He sighs and leaves it at that.
And Rubin nods once to him. And he's going to look around to see if any of these slaves have been unshackled.
Yeah, I'd say so.
All of them? Are they already? Oh,
Why, like when Thorgrim issued it, the guy was sent down here and took care of it.
gotcha. Yeah, is the atmosphere different, or is everyone still just kind of, did the chains being off not really change anything?
They're talking a little bit more than they usually do.
3 steps, we'll take them.
Yeah.
What are they talking about?
Fuck off.
About your mom.
Just stuff.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
slave stuff like last week.
Can you demo a conversation for us?
Their hopes are a little bit higher, I think is clear by their conversations. They're talking briefly about, first off, the excitement of food, and they're talking about things that they may have eaten as a child and had missed and hope to have an opportunity to hopefully eat on this ship. And that maybe they're talking excitedly about maybe they'll get hammocks one day.
Bruh.
Yeah, but can you do that all in character?
Shut up, dude. Move on.
So yeah, Rubin. I wasn't the one who asked that question. Don't get angry at me, man. I go upstairs and go back into the room.
Okay. And is that like the kind of like end point for what you're gonna do for the day?
The only remaining thing is this fucking thing he's been carrying over his shoulder this whole time. He's gonna lay it out flat in the middle of the room and kind of sprawl it out to get a good look at what this thing looked like before it was killed.
It's a very humanoid shape. It doesn't have any face, no ears, no sort of gender kind of is clear of it or anything like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, and he sits down at the base of it, unclasps his book, his tome, and begins writing and sketching and adding this into the entry.
Okay.
And that is after that he will, in fact, go to bed.
Okay. So, following all of this, I think we'll talk about what happens in the following days at the start of next session. So you'll have plenty of time to think about it. And we'll kind of shorthand those things. But I do need to catch us up with the A side of the split. So we're going to do a bit of a time scale. And we're going to move forward 6 days to the day that in lying in bed... Huh? No, that's 7 days from now. We're going to go 6 days to the day that Gabriel is laying in bed and he receives a message from Rylon.
Oh, thank God.
Gabriel, we met the Lich. His words are misguided, but not evil. Halifax was consumed into a void by that which made him. I'm sorry.
And you can respond in 25 words if you want. But that's what you hear.
All right. I'm going to leave my response for next session so I can think about it.
That's fine. And I think then that's a good ending point for this session.
Damn, bro. Fucking we lost Halifax. I'm mad right now in bed. I'm pissed.
Yeah, first thing in the morning, this is what he's waking up to. I'm putting the MP3 file for that soundboard into the D&D General 2B in case you guys want to re-listen to it at any point, as well as an additional version of it here that I made but decided against using. And so, yeah, that's where we're going to end this session. So first off, we thank you guys for listening in. It was a lot to keep track of, but it was a lot of fun, for me at least. And like we said before, we're now on YouTube. We're now on Instagram. We're on pretty much every podcast platform. We're on Twitter. Go give us a follow. Go give us a like. Subscribe if you want to, if you like what you listen to. And that's probably the best way to stay up to date on everything that is happening. And if you really want to hang out, join the community that we already have. You should be able to find the Discord links in pretty much any platform that you're listening on. And yeah, thanks for being here. And as always, never split the party. Catch you next time.